Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Night Owl, a show that we do twice a week where we talk about all the latest in pop culture news, TV and movie reviews, gaming news, and just the general conversations of the day. For those who don't know me, I'm Price of Reason, and with me, as always, is my co host, Professor R2. I say with me as always. Last time actually had something going on and he couldn't make it, but almost
Yes,
always with me is
yes.
Professor
Well,
R2,
had
who
a had
is.
a w had a
Sorry.
wildly early morning on Wednesday, so it was like, stay up and do the night owl and get an hour and a half of sleep, or maybe this time I'll have to bow out, and so it was gonna be a real mess, so, yes, I appreciate, Isphobos and Cece stepping in and, helping out on Tuesday. That was
They
great,
were great.
and,
Yeah, they were great that
hope
they
everyone had a
stepped
good
in.
evening. Hope everyone's having a good week. I'm glad to be back, glad to hang out and, be
This is
back
the
here with
YouTube
Price.
version of NPR, only better. I hope it's better. NPR, like,
Tonight on All Things Considered.
in any case, I'm happy that you're back, Professor. But yes, Phobos CC Karaoke were awesome. So nice to hang out with them as well. And yeah, no, it's totally cool. Also, now you're back, and I'm really happy as well. So there's all of that. I saw a few movies.
Yeah,
In the
I
past few
I I
days.
haven't seen any movies
I'm
in
just
the
gonna
last
tell
few
you
days. Yeah.
about the movies that I saw. You missed the part that I saw the Chris Stuckman movie.
Oh, I'm sure that was a masterpiece of cinema.
And this is what I said to people that I don't think much of him, as a reviewer. When I watched the movie, there were about 20 minutes at the end of that movie that I thought had potential. Maybe 20 to 30 minutes that I thought weren't terrible. The problem is that like the movie is 90 minutes and the hour that led into those final 30 minutes, I was struggling. I just wanted to go to sleep. I stayed awake, but there was a part of me that really wanted to sleep, and that's never a good sign. It's never a good sign in a movie when I'm sitting in like a comfy recliner and it's boring me and I feel like taking a nap. That's not a good thing.
Yeah, yeah, those nice overstuffed AMC recliners are a real killer, man. They'll take you out
They will,
during
they
a
will.
boring movie.
It has to be a good movie. It has to be a good movie. Back in the day when we grew up, we'd sit in these like plastic chairs that were awful, and like you couldn't sleep in those even if you wanted. But now with the
Yeah,
reclining, those like thick reclining chairs, it's setting you up in a situation where it wants you to go to
yeah.
wants you to go to sleep, unless the movie can interest you enough for you not to go to sleep. And man, I was struggling with that Chris Stuckman thing again. As a reviewer, I make the effort. I like sat up. I'm like sit up and try to move around like so that way you won't sleep. And yeah, so an hour of it I thought was terrible. 30 minutes of it I thought was pretty interesting. Make of that what you will.
Well, that's, that's some praise, wasn't a total waste of your time, I suppose.
Tomac says that's why I've been falling asleep in theaters as of late. I
It could
know it's
be,
really. I feel bad, I feel bad, and I think to myself, is something wrong with me that now I didn't used to feel like going to sleep in the theater, but now I do. It has to be those chairs.
it's gotta be it, it's not a whole lot else has changed. I will tell you, we have a theater, here that is, it's an old theater, so, all of the chairs and stuff are still in there, and they use it for a variety of different things, but it was a movie theater at one point, and it has those old metal and wooden chairs that are all creaky and hard and pinch you if you get up the wrong way. It's like, oh man, that was movies when I was growing up, right? That's what you
Yeah.
got. You didn't get cushy chairs. You had these tight, squeezed in, hard chairs to sit in, and that was what you got. You didn't have anything else, especially since we often went to the dollar theater because we were, not rolling in the dough, and most of the time when we went to go see a film, we went to go see it at the cheap theater, and, it had even worse chairs.
I I didn't know you could have I mean, they were pretty bad back in the day. I thought it was kind of a universal thing that chairs weren't so great back in the day, but I guess when I think about it now, there were probably times that I was in theaters where the chairs were worse than other places. I don't know necessarily the dollar or not dollar, but there could have been times where I was in a more dumpy theater and times where it was like the better one. But whether it was dumpy or fancy, one thing I can tell you, none of them had the reclining chair. Like, that reclining thing did
Oh,
not exist
no.
back in the day.
No, I remember when they opened our theater here, it wasn't that long ago, that had added those big cushy recliner seats, and we were all just like, "What is happening? This you you don't get to sit and be in comfort while you watch a movie? This is bizarre."
Exactly. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of things have changed, and, also, a lot of movies aren't very good these days, so that's not a
Yeah,
good thing too.
not so much, unfortunately. No, not
But
good.
I'm trying to think for a second. There was something where, The Irishman, the movie, everybody saw it on Netflix. I actually saw it in the theater
No.
because, they had a limited release. It was so stupid. It wasn't the kind of movie that you released to streaming. I think it was the type of the movie you released to a theater. Whether you like it or not, that was, I think, the right place to see it. And I went to a theater, one of the only ones that showed it as part of this weird Netflix thing that they showed it in like one theater for 5 minutes. It happened to be in a radius that I could get to, and the chairs in that theater, surprisingly, were very uncomfortable. It was not like one of those reclining ones. They almost it's like they didn't even want you to go to that theater.
Hmm.
They wanted you to suffer. I can't really explain
Yes.
why, but that's how it was. I think also, there was another time that that happened, that I ran into one of those theaters that were kind of uncomfortable. Anyhow, I don't know how we got to all of this. Yeah, hi to the chat. Hi to everybody on any platform you may be watching us. And yeah, I saw something. What does Trump want now with Venezuela? I was actually running around today. I didn't even notice all the details. I just know that there was something that he was saying about it, or is there some kind of issue now?
With Venezuela, all I've heard, had a fairly busy day. I haven't seen a lot of news, but all I've really heard is that people are upset that he's blowing up drug boats, and he's says, "Yeah, we're going to keep blowing up drug boats." He doesn't really seem to care that people are they're upset about it.
Ah, I
Yeah,
see that
that they
he.
think that we have to declare war or something against them, and he's like, "No, they're terrorists. We blow them up."
Yeah, so that's the thing, and, I don't know, the New York Times was writing that, like, actually his supporters are uneasy about his actions against Venezuela. I didn't see anybody uneasy. Does anybody even care? I mean, if there's boats with, bad people on it doing bad things, I mean, I don't really know. I'm not privy to all of that information, but I would think if there was boats with bad people, I don't know,
Yeah,
is that.
and there's some people too that have been upset. I do know he made some announce or I don't know if he made some he mentioned it or if it came out some other way, but we've heard that they have some CIA assets that are in Venezuela and, on the ground and learning stuff and whatever, and everyone thinks, "Oh, this is, he's leading up to a war." This guy has talked about getting out of wars, like, nonstop. I don't understand where people get off thinking he's interested in starting a war with Venezuela when that's completely opposite what he's been spending all of his time talking about. "Oh, I ended this war and I ended that war." I think the whole idea is that we're gonna send intelligence, gathering assets over there to find where all of these drugs are being made, to find the people who are responsible for it, and to make sure that we're keeping track of where the drugs are being loaded, when they're being shipped, when they're leaving. And that way we have better intelligence to find these narco terrorist drug boats and vaporize them. I think that's
Let's
what he's
see.
doing.
Let's see if I can share this thing, if I can find this thing. Hold on one second. So it was something like this.
Oh, I can't see it yet. Uh,
Oh, you can't see it?
oh, presentation mode, yep.
I don't even know if this is the thing, but I thought it was the thing, but let's try it. Okay.
Drugs by sea, they call it also. That's almost down to nothing, as you can imagine. So they continue to come in by land at a little bit less because they see something is going to happen. They don't like it. They see something, and they're right. Something very serious is going to happen. The equivalent of what's happening by sea. And we're going to Congress just to tell them what we're doing, just to keep them informed. But we have to do it for national security. We have to do it to save lives.
I guess he was talking about the Venezuelan thing.
Yeah, yeah. Taking out the drug boats on their way
Let's see. Maybe this is a better one. Let's see. Is it still? Am I still sharing?
in.
Did I
No.
share it all?
Yeah, you shared the last. There you go. You're back up.
Have the coast on Venezuelan boats. I want to ask you, why not have the Coast Guard stop them, which it is empowered by law to do? You know, this way you can confirm who's on the boat and ensure that they're doing what you suspect.
Because we've been doing that for 30 years, and it has been totally ineffective. They have faster boats. Some of these boats are seriously, I mean, they're world-class speedboats.
Can you even hear him?
But they're not.
Yeah, it's a
faster
little
than
quiet, but I can
missiles.
hear.
But we've been trying to do that for years, and so much of the drugs, 25, 30% would come in through the seas. Right now we have, I would say, none coming in through the seas. In fact, I don't know about the fishing industry. If you want to go fishing, a lot of people aren't deciding to even go fishing. We've almost totally stopped it by sea. Now we'll stop it by land.
What's the next
But
step?
it never worked. It never worked when you did it in a very politically correct manner.
So I guess people are upset now. I don't really know.
Yeah, well, they're going to get upset about anything that Trump does,
And
right?
then you have
That's
Rand
what
Paul.
that's what they do.
Listen, I know Rand Paul. Some people like him, but I don't really know what his end game is.
Number one, there is no fentanyl made in Venezuela. Not just a little bit, there's none being made in Venezuela. These are outboard boats that, in order for them to get to Miami, would have to stop and refuel 20 times. They're in all likely going to Trinidad and Tobago, which is an island right off of the coast of Venezuela. So there's a lot of reasons to be worried about this. But number one is the broader principle of when can you kill people indiscriminately? When you're at war. That's why when we declare war, it's supposed to be done by Congress. It's supposed to be thoughtful. It's supposed to be debated. And we're not supposed to do it willy-nilly. And then when you have war, you just kill people in the war zone. And even then there are rules of engagement. But interdicting drugs has always been a criminal activity and a criminal anti-crime sort of activity where we don't just summarily execute people. We actually present evidence and convict them.
What do you think of what he said?
I mean, he's not wrong. There certainly has been a history of the war on drugs, and it goes a certain way. They do it a certain way, but again, what has that led to? It's led to a huge amount of these drugs coming over the border, being smuggled in by boat, by land, whatever, and then there's not actually we're not actually stopping the drugs, right? Doing it the way that we have done it. I understand the concern saying, "Oh, the extrajudicial killings of people, whatever." Okay, so they're only gonna there's no fentanyl made there. That doesn't mean they can't distribute it. They're going to Trinidad and Tobago. That doesn't mean that they're not gonna go to Trinidad and then pass it off from there to someone else who's going to help distribute it. I'm not saying that, that I know for sure that absolutely what they're doing, that every single one of these boats that's been blown up was full of drugs. I don't know that. I can't guarantee that. I don't think they would be doing this. I don't think they would just be putting on some kind of a show, blowing up boats and being like, "See, we're protecting you. We did it." Right? I think they would have some kind of, maybe not evidence in the same term that we would use it in court, but they do have some kind of a trail that leads to, okay, these are people who are trafficking in drugs. They've loaded this boat up with drugs, and we're eliminating it. And also, I mean, it's also completely outside of the reality that we have lived in for the past 20 years, right? You say, "Oh, well, we can't do this. We can't. The only place we can, indiscriminately kill people is in a war zone." What about all of the, cruise missiles that were used by Biden or Obama or Bush that were sent in to blow people up, right? This isn't, you say, "Oh, well, that was terrorists. We declared a war on terrorists." Well, we've declared a war on drugs, and we've declared that these narco, you know, traffickers are terrorists, right? That these gangs are terrorists. So I I understand where he's saying, I think everything needs to follow these rules, and that's the way that it needs to be done. I don't mind Rand Paul. I think he is a person of principle, and I think often that means that he comes to it comes to loggerheads between him and someone like Trump, uh, him and a number of other people in his party, simply because they're willing to take some shortcuts where he's not. They're willing to say, we're going to do something this way because it's effective, where he says we have to do it this way because this is the process and this is how things work. I get it. I really do. And I don't mind. I do think he is a person of principle. I don't think that he is somebody who is trying to disrupt the White House just for the sake of getting one up on Trump. Right? I don't think that's who he is. But at the same time, it's like, okay, well, we have to stick to all of these norms and the way things were done before. Well, there were a lot of things that didn't work, that weren't effective when we stuck to those norms either, right? So it is a bit of a dilemma, especially for somebody, like I said, that I do feel like he's someone who is very principled and has a particular way that he views the world. Whether that's right or wrong, I'm not to say, but in general, I don't really have a problem with Rand Paul. He
No,
stands
I
on his
mean,
principles and he says
I
what he means.
understand he has principles, but I don't know. I mean, sometimes I wonder if it's not counterproductive. Like I don't know. I don't know
It
what to think
absolutely
about him.
can be. It absolutely can be. Let's say you stand on a principle that says diversity is our strength. Okay, that's an interesting principle. How does that actually play out? What does that actually mean? Does that mean that we have to live a, you know, live out some sort of suicidal empathy where we always let people who are of minorities and other races, we let them get away with crimes that we wouldn't let someone who was white get away with, because we've got to all find a way to live together, right? That's we're seeing that play out in a whole bunch of different places, and it's destroying societies, it's destroying cultures, countries, because they're saying, "Oh, well, we've got to be diverse. We've got to let all of these other cultures be part of our culture." And I mean, we're seeing it, in real time happen in the UK. It's the country is falling apart.
Let's
And
see what this
so,
thing here is.
yeah.
Fox News alert, B-52 bombers are flying off the coast of Venezuela. Trump's not bluffing. Right now, more than 10,000 U.S. soldiers are built up in the Caribbean, on ships in Puerto Rico, locked and loaded. Special operations helicopters were just seen flying 90 miles from Venezuela's coast. The chopper units used by Delta Force, Navy SEALs, and the Green Berets. The Black Ops were spotted off the coast of Trinidad. They're very important for search and rescue missions. Also spotted little birds. They're smaller but faster, designed for quick insertion of special operators behind enemy lines. The Ghost was also confirmed to be in the Caribbean. That's the nickname for MV Ocean Trader. It's the kind of ship that doesn't want to be found. It's designed for black ops and special missions because it's dark and blends in with cargo. There's more. 10% of the U.S. naval power is now in the region. It's a major shift. There's subs, several destroyers, and F-35 fighters in Puerto Rico. That's on top of all the coke boats getting smoked to pieces by the week. Kilos of cocaine are washing ashore. Don't tell Hunter. Dozens of bad hombres becoming shark bait. It's got Maduro's attention. He's the dictator of the narco state, a very bad hombre. And we just doubled the bounty on his head. It's now 50 mil. According to the New York Times, Maduro offered us a dominant stake in Venezuela's oil, gold, and mineral wealth and promised to cut ties with Russia and China. And Trump and Rubio said no. That tells me the gunboat diplomacy is going to end up with no Maduro and a Venezuela aligned with us, not Putin or Xi. American action in Latin America hasn't always ended well. Look at the Bay of Pigs. Other times, it's a piece of cake. It's our backyard. And Trump's just reestablishing the Monroe Doctrine, a.k.a. the Dunroe Doctrine. Hopefully, a Venezuelan general does the right thing and collects the $50 million bounty. No one wants a messy conflict in South America. Maduro controls drug traffickers who are pretty strapped. They have military-grade weapons. And Biden let hundreds of thousands of Venezuelans into the country. They could be activated. But if Trump can pull this off and kick China and Russia out of Venezuela after what he did with the Iranians, it'll give him a lot of power to deter Russia and Ukraine and China and Taiwan.
Let's see what this...
Really a real country. It's a narco-terrorist state. In his first term, he unleashed economic sanctions on them. We put a bounty on Maduro. I mean, we did all the things short of going to war with Venezuela to stop them from importing drugs into the United States. It did not work. They have continued to be a narco-terrorist state. They continue to flood drugs into the United States and dangerous people. And so one of the things about the America First movement and the MAGA movement is in middle America, they believe our government has not taken a hard enough line against people who have put deadly drugs into this country. They promised this. And honestly, I think he's going to have a lot of political support for stopping these narco-terrorists.
That should be what Trump says, not blaming it on drug trafficking, which is a relatively minor issue compared to drug trafficking that comes from Mexico.
Well, how much do you want to accept? I think you're downplaying.
I know, it's not a how much do you want to accept.
I think you're downplaying.
Where is the problem coming from? And it's coming from Mexico.
I think you're downplaying what they do in Venezuela, A. B.
I'm not downplaying it. It's just factually less significant than what is happening in Mexico.
B. I would support military strikes on drug operations in Mexico, to be honest with you, and I think a lot of Americans would as well.
My bigger point, Scott, is that this doesn't seem to really be about the drugs. I think it's about Maduro. And if it's about Maduro, don't you think Americans ought to
they're
know
one
that?
and the same. He is a drug lord. I mean,
don't you think
he sounds just like a globist.
What are we going to do with those guys that we captured? What laws apply to them? Where are they going?
I'll be honest with you. I don't know, and I'm not sure that I care all that much. I'll tell you something else about Venezuela. There's an opposition party there. There are people that could probably take over Venezuela and not be a major narco-terrorist state. So
probably would have to take to the streets and protest.
They're in our own. I wouldn't if I were them with Maduro in charge.
That's what
they're
we're
in our
saying
own
here.
hemisphere.
Yeah,
they're sending drugs.
Sounds like you're making a globalist argument, Scott.
Well, I mean,
we know that there are.
I have no opposition to using the U.S. military to stopping terrorists from putting substances in our country that kill our citizens. If it was Al Qaeda, I'd say the same thing. Trump is no isolationist. He never has been. He's always been willing to engage if he thought it was in America's best interest. With a drug state like this, I think it might be.
All right.
It's always funny seeing that guy sit there at CNN with those ladies.
Yeah. Yeah.
That in and of itself is just amusing. Like, there's not one person there that agrees with him, but he actually usually argues his points pretty well.
Yeah, Scott Jenick, he's fantastic. Yeah, he just will sit there and put up with just being talked over and yelled at, the BS that he has to wade through to try and make a point is seriously impressive, but he does it. And, he makes his point, and a lot of times he ends up owning these people because they don't understand how flimsy their actual arguments are and how contradictory some of their ideas, when it really comes down to it. They say, well, okay, well, which one is it? Is this or that? And they're like, well, it's both. And you're like, you can't have both, right? Like, it doesn't work that way. So yeah, it's amusing sometimes to see him going up against that entire panel of people that every one of them just can't stand his guts because he's
right. They hate him.
They hate him.
It's always kind of amusing.
Yeah.
Is there anything else like political that I missed today? I feel like, I don't know, was there too much going on? I remember this Venezuela thing. He had some kind of a thing that he was sitting around and talking to the press a lot, but I don't know if there was anything else as talked about as this Venezuela thing.
Yeah, stuff from today. Let's see.
There's probably a lot of things, but somehow it seemed quieter than usual.
Did you have you heard about Japan electing their new prime minister over there, a female prime minister who's basically Japan's Trump? You heard about her?
I didn't know that they have a female Trump in Japan.
Yeah, and she's all about like let's make more partnerships with the US. Let's kick all of these foreigners out of our country. Like reinvest in Japan. Like it's pretty funny. Let's see. I bet I can find something real quick.
I mean, they don't really I don't know if to say they don't like foreigners, but I don't know that they embrace foreigners there so much. Is there a lot of foreign
No,
people
they
there?
haven't really, but there are some. Have been groups that have been working really hard to try and say, because their birth rates are falling, their working age people, that number is shrinking. They need more people to come in, and there's been people that have been pushing really hard to bring in more foreigners for labor and so on, and so after electing this new woman, it's pretty funny because she's got a really hard line against a lot of these things that some of the newer people in the government there have been trying to push. She's very conservative, and let's see. Bet I can find one here. Yeah, here we go. Here's a video. If I play it, it's
私
probably
は
in
外
Japanese.
国人との穏やかな、
Yeah.
お互いに思いやりを持って生きられる付き合い方はどうすればできるんか、一遍ゼロベースで
I'm
考え
trying
る
to
つもり
think
で
it
す。
from
毎
zero
年
again,
毎
because
年
year after year, the
私たち
culture
と、
between us,
文化や何もかもがあ
everything
まりに
else
も、
is so
違
very
う
different.
人
Yet
たち
people
を
are
まとめて
brought
入
in
れ
all
ていくと
together.
いうこと、この政策
Keep
は
bringing them in this
一
policy.
旦
We must
考え
pause and
直さな
reconsider it.
あ
I
き
see
ま
what
せ
you're
ん。
saying. She doesn't
経
want
済的
foreigners.
で、
Those
経済
who
的
come with
な動
economic
機で
motives
やっ
and
てき
claim
て
to be
難民を主
refugees,
張する人、
such
きち
people
ん
will
と
be
お帰りを
properly
いただ
sent
きま
home.
す。
Also, regarding those
ま
who
た、不
overstay
法滞
illegally,
在の人たちに
they too
も
will be
厳
strictly
格に
required to
法
obey the
律
law.
を守っていただきます。私は外国人
Yeah.
I
So
understand.
yeah, the new prime minister basically saying she's okay if if the population is going to shrink. That's better than losing their culture as a country by bringing in lots of foreigners who are not going to actually assimilate into Japanese culture. And she's damn right about that. She's exactly right. Oh, we're going to bring in all these low skill immigrants and they're all going to come in and they're not going to be able to work, solid jobs and they're going to be requiring welfare and all sorts of other stuff. Like, yeah, if you're going to come in as an economic, immigrant, economic asylum, you're going to come here and you're just going to be a drain on our, uh, you know, government coffers. You're just going to be coming in here and pulling welfare. Get out. Just go. Like, we will figure it out, right? It's kind of what she's saying. Like, we'll figure it out otherwise. We don't need you. We don't need you to come in and screw up our country. So she's quite the firebrand. She's very conservative, and it's really interesting to see somebody saying, "Look, our culture of our country matters." And yeah, she's also been very open to specifically saying, let's start working with our good economic partner, the United States. Let's start working with Donald Trump to start building better relationships. And yeah, it's been yeah. See, Yidis was mentioning Japan made a controversial deal with India for 50,000 guest workers. Yeah, that's one of the things that they are discussing. So yeah, interesting to see like another country with their female Donald Trump, their conservative populist person, kind of taking the reins and pushing a lot of the same types of policies that we're seeing here.
Yeah, Stephen Max says, "Can you blame them after Johnny Somali?" Yeah, they don't they like it when they have their own culture going on
Johnny,
there. They don't like when other
good
people come
God.
by with meddling with their culture.
Was that dude like put in prison or something like over in Korea? I don't remember where that saga
I thought
ended.
there was
I,
something. Yeah.
I never really cared.
Oh,
Um,
there was something else that Gavin Newsom gave
yes,
licenses.
that was going to be something else that I mentioned. That was another big thing. I don't know if you saw the absolutely horrific
I
accident
did. Yes.
on where a truck driver just going way too fast, not braking, obliterates a car in front of him, and then mostly destroys the next car that it smashes into, with the cab catching on fire and then losing control and leaving the highway. Ended up with three dead, others injured from this accident. And this isn't the first time this happened. Remember, we've had a few different accidents that have happened over there. And it's because California has been issuing CDLs to illegal aliens. They've been allowing undocumented people, a lot of them from India, to take the test and get CDLs without a number of the restrictions that are required federally, specifically being able to speak the English language being one of them. But they've brought in a whole bunch of these illegals, undocumented workers. And yeah, Gavin Newsom made it so that they could give these CDLs to these people. And of course, this particular guy who was responsible for this, he was apparently drunk. He had failed the CDL multiple times before finally passing. He should never have been operating as a commercial truck driver. And a lot of people are calling Gavin Newsom out on this, saying, you're responsible for these deaths. You did this. You allowed these people, you allowed this man specifically to obtain a license to drive a deadly giant vehicle on the roads without ensuring that he could do so safely. And that's pretty.
And what did Gavin Newsom
awful.
say? Did he have some slippery thing, or he didn't even respond?
I'm sure he had something really slippery to say, but I don't remember seeing anything about it. I'm just looking here. I do have one post I can share from X here on this. I haven't watched this video, so I'm not entirely sure. It looks like it's from Fox.
Who entered illegally, John, or do not have a permanent legal status as required by the feds. California sanctuary laws prohibit asking applicants their immigration status. Governor Newsom said there's not a problem. Back to you.
Did I hear you right? Did you say 62,000?
That's correct.
Oh, my goodness.
It's a federal audit.
William Lejeunesse for us. William, thank you so much. Let's bring in the acting ICE director, Todd Lyons. I was really taken aback with what William just said, that California gave out 62,000 CDL licenses. What do you make of that?
Well, John, what's even scarier than that is some of those were real IDs, right? So those individuals who aren't supposed to be in the country, anyways, can get on commercial aircraft, can travel. Now they have CDLs where they're transporting hazardous goods. And John, just think about this. That's just California. When you think about all these other sanctuary states that are doing the same thing, there are so many states that are giving these CDL drivers licenses to people that shouldn't be in the country anyways. This individual yesterday, he crossed the border in 2022. Unfortunately, under the last administration and the catch and release policies, Border Patrol had to let him go. And now look, we've had people lose their lives and more people are injured. It's really shocking that more people aren't up in arms about this, because this is totally wrong. These are all preventable accidents, but yet 63,000 illegal aliens have commercial driver's licenses, are on the road transporting God knows what, and can do more damage than anything just like that we saw in the video.
These are called CDLs to non-domiciled individuals. Here's what the Transportation Secretary, Sean Duffy, said about it back on September the 26th. What our team has discovered should disturb and anger every American. Licenses to operate massive 80,000-pound trucks are being issued to dangerous foreign drivers, oftentimes illegally. This is a direct threat to the safety of every family on the road, and I won't stand for it. California must get its act together immediately, or I will not hesitate to pull millions in funding. So we had that incident in Florida earlier this year where 2 people were killed immediately. Another one went to the hospital.
Yeah. So that was one of the incidents I was talking about. There was somebody with a license, CDL, operating that vehicle that should not have been, tried making an illegal turn when they should not have, and ended up getting someone killed, getting several people killed. And it's not acceptable. These truckers, first of all, I've known several truckers. They're under immense pressure to get their goods delivered from one place to another. They have a lot of rules that they have to follow. They know that the operation of those vehicles, that they are a deadly weapon on the road. And unfortunately, now we have a lot of people, very poorly trained people, 62,000 that are operating these trucks on the road. And you just can only imagine how many more of these accidents are going to. Oh, looks like
Yeah.
we got a raid over on YouTube from Moxie Dame. So welcome,
Oh,
Raiders. We appreciate it. Thank you very much.
thank you very much. That's very kind of you. I
Yeah.
appreciate that a lot. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. What
Thank
a
you, Moxie. That's very nice of
yeah.
you.
Yeah. So, I don't know. We got anything else that more exciting to talk about? I had a tweet that went viral. That was fun, but
Oh, what was it? Show me.
oh, jeez. So
Now you
there
have to
was
show me.
there's okay. Well, I'll dig it up. We could talk about Superman some more. Your favorite topic.
All right, show me the tweet.
Because
Show
a
me the
few,
tweet, and then we can talk about Chainsaw Man. By the way, because
sweet, yeah.
I
You know,
saw Chainsaw Man, even though I never watched the series and I don't know anything, and uh, I went and I watched it because of Irwin and Badger and Gooch. They're all like, "You won't even like it." So I'm like, okay, well now I have to go see it. So what was your tweet? Show us the viral tweet.
yeah, I'm digging it up here. So, let's see. I mean, it wasn't super viral. You know, few thousand people liked it. Anyway, it was there was a tweet that was going around. I saw a few people had shared this from an account called Entertainment Biz. I don't know if you've ever seen this particular individual before, but it was this tweet right here saying, "People who don't understand this scene should stop watching movies." And I don't know why, but this just pissed me off. It just got under my skin 'cause I'm like,
I
this is
can't
one
see
of the
I
worst.
want to see your response. What did you
This
say?
is one of the worst goddamn scenes in this whole film. It is awful. So I let go on this guy, just let loose. You can see there's some other people that we know, like Papa Pumpkin, RMB. We're both replying to this. Oops, I clicked on the wrong thing here. So
Give
I
me a
came in
full. Okay.
and wrote an essay. So I said, look, okay, people who don't understand this scene should stop watching movies. Okay, well, guess what? I do understand this scene. I understand it completely. I understand what Snyder was trying to show, the sacrifice, the lesson to his son, all of that. But this scene fails at all of those things, fails miserably. Jonathan Kent doesn't sacrifice himself nobly. He dies needlessly and shows absolutely no instinct for self-preservation. And then I added, so yes, tornadoes are survivable, even if you're out in the open. He had a very real chance of survival just rolling down the hill in the ditch next to the road. In fact, when you watch the movie, if you watch this scene, he gets out of the car after rescuing the dog. He's trapped for a little bit. He gets out. He falls on the ground. He literally could have rolled over a couple of times. He would have rolled off into the ditch next to the road, and he would have been in a safer place than he was just standing there like an idiot.
It's so annoying. Yeah.
So, but anyway, he says, so I said, in fact, he would have had a better chance than the fools hiding under an overpass in their cars. If you don't know this, Price, this is, something that people in Tornado Alley know, but under an overpass, the wind from a tornado actually gets accelerated. So you're actually in more danger under an overpass than you are just laying down in the ground outside. So
Hey, Badger.
I said,
Just wanted
essentially,
to say
yeah, hey there, Badger. Anybody who's born and bred in Kansas would know this. Like, he would know what to do
hi. Hey,
in the
Moxie.
face of a tornado. And so I also said the only risk that Clark faced was that his powers were going to be discovered. And in the chaos going on around him with this tornado and everything, all the people would be covering their heads, closing their eyes so that they weren't blinded by all the debris being thrown around. And so, even those few people that might actually be watching what was going on with Clark and his dad wouldn't really be credible witnesses because there's just chaos everywhere. And in tornadoes, crazy stuff happens, man. Crazy, crazy stuff. So, there crazier things have happened than him running into the tornado and the two of them surviving, right? He easily could have saved his dad. No consequences. So, and then we move on to what's the lesson that he's supposed to learn from this, right? What's the lesson? So, run into situations without thinking, don't take basic steps to protect your own life. A real man just stands there and accepts the inevitable. Don't take risks. Don't use the power you have to protect others weaker than you, or animal lives are more important than humans. I don't know, whatever. And then I just said, whatever Snyder intended with this scene, the execution is laughable and the premise is idiotic.
I'll
So
tell you what. First of all, when it comes to Man of Steel, there's things about that movie that I actually like, but when it comes to things that I don't like about the movie, this has to be at the top of the list. Pa Kent's death is unacceptable in this movie. It bothered me the first time I saw it, and over the years, it didn't get better. It's something that if they removed that from the movie, if they made him not tell his son that it's good to let the other kids die, and if they removed this scene, that whole movie for me feels a whole lot better. That this situation really bothered me, and the only thing I'll say is, and this I guess in something of a defense of Snyder here, is that he didn't write the screenplay. So
no.
I bet that on paper, whoever it was, I don't know if it was Goyer who wrote it, whoever wrote it must have thought on paper that this sounded like such a fantastic idea. The problem is that they should have looked at it and thought, is it really a fantastic idea? And my answer is no.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
really the biggest flaw. It's hard to explain because it's at least, and that's the part of the responsibility that I'm willing to give him. But when I see Henry Cavill in that suit and him flying and the Hans Zimmer music and the cinematography and the feeling of that, that feels like a more epic superhero Superman movie to be, at least the visual style of it. When it comes to James Gunn, as dumb as this scene is, when it comes to James Gunn, he made it so that his Kryptonian parents want him to start like a harem with like women slaves and
Oh,
stuff.
what a
That's not that great, you
stupid
know?
choice. I'm sorry. That was so dumb. That was one of the worst things, in a really not good movie. That was one
Right.
of
I
the
mean,
worst
that
things
that
about
to
it.
me was just such a disgrace. I didn't like that he got his ass kicked all the time. Like
Nope.
I think that James Gunn made a movie that for whatever goofy stupid thing he wanted to do, it was a competently made movie for the crap that he was trying to make, but it didn't feel like a Superman movie. That's the thing. It was like if it was Goofy Man, it would have been fine. But if you wanted it to be a Superman movie, it didn't feel like one. With Man of Steel, I feel that it's a Superman movie, but one that I have issues with. And yeah, I mean, ideally for me, the ideal situation is that I have like a 1978 Superman where I just love that movie. I love everything about it. It's a wonderful movie. Even after all of these years, maybe the effects aren't good like they were, maybe things have changed, but the beats are there. The movie works. It has that early part when he's a kid. How first of all, the thing with Krypton, then he arrives, then him going to the city. Everything works for me. Lex Luthor, like I think that 1978 movie is just such a brilliant movie, and I still love it and like it more than the other ones.
Yep.
But yeah, I
Yep.
mean, I don't think that it's easy to defend this scene. I've always said like there's some people they love Snyder, some people they hate him. I first of all don't completely blame him for this scene, even though maybe if he
No.
saw it wasn't working, he could have brought it to the attention of Christopher Nolan was the main producer here. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't drop Christopher Nolan should have known better as well that when they saw this scene, they should have said, okay, we're gonna need a reshoot here. We need to attack this
Yeah,
differently.
yeah, yeah. I am not a Snyder bro, and I am not a Snyder hater. I think he has things he's good at, and there's things he is not good at. He made some fascinating films, the comic book adaptations of 300
Watchmen.
and Watchmen were both really well done. The visuals are stunning, the way he manages to
He's good with
recreate
visuals.
the
He is good
frames, that
in
he
my opinion, he's good
recreates
with
those.
visuals.
Yeah, yeah, it works really well. I didn't have a problem with it. There's even parts of, the Snyderverse, as, it is, that are fine. I don't just hate this particular film. I think there's parts of it that work, and there's a lot of it that doesn't work for me. But some of the visuals, the costume, the actor they picked to play Superman all work for me very well. There's good choices here, and then there's others that just don't. And I can't put all of those on Snyder. You're right. He was not the script writer for this. He was
I
not the
think
one.
I think that Snyder is the type of director that you have to give him a good screenplay, and there has to be a producer there that's also like, on top of his game. And if you have that in place, I think that Snyder, I, I I dare say, can shine. But the script has to
Yeah.
be airtight, wonderful, and the producer has to be there to tell him, "Don't do 70 slow motion shots in a
Yeah.
row. Just let's get on with it." He
Yeah,
needs
we've
that, and he needs that. And if you give him that, I think he can deliver. It's just, I was telling you this, I think, a while back on a stream. At some point, I don't know why, everybody saw Quentin Tarantino and they thought, well, he can write and he can also direct and he can also produce. Yes, he can do all of those things. It doesn't mean that everybody could do all of those things. Not everybody is an auteur. Sometimes you have a guy that he's the guy that you give him a good screenplay with a good production team around him and a producer that kind of keeps things in line, and he does a great job. Sometimes you need that. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Hollywood needs people like that. And if you have like a good visual gift and you're good at doing that, and I think he does have that, it's fine to have the people around you to help you shine. And not everybody is this auteur that writes and directs and produces.
Yeah. We've seen what happens when we let Snyder do his own thing and write his film and shoot his film and produce his film and make it all. We got 2 of those with Rebel Moon, and then the director's cuts, which since the first ones were his cut, it's kind of strange, but yeah, what indulgent garbage those movies were. Rebel Moon, and it's the second one, just
Even with Rebel Moon, I'll tell you that some of the visuals I didn't hate, but that one really, like, it proved that he shouldn't be that guy that, like, is the writer, director, producer. I think that it's important to, you know, work to his strengths and not try to just tell him that he can do everything in the world. And it's a shame because, like I said, sometimes you have people that like are hacks and they're not good at anything and they're just crap. And there's enough directors like that like just get built up, and for no apparent reason, there's just nothing good about them. I feel like, Zack Snyder, under the right circumstances, can be a good director, but it's not like that. He's like I said, he's not the kind that he's just the best at everything. And that's fine, you don't need to be. I think, is it like David Fincher or something? I don't think he writes his screenplays. I'm just like, he gets a screenplay and he directs it. Sometimes you're not a writer.
Yeah, not everybody is extremely talented at every different part of the creation of media like this, the creation of a film. Not everyone is an auteur who can create this entire thing themselves. Some people need others to take the reins for different parts of the film.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Some creators need solid cinematographers to help them to really craft the visuals of their film. Some directors need great writers who can really flesh out the characters and develop the storyline and the plot of the film so that when they go to actually put that on film, it has the impact that it's supposed to, and the characters are who they're supposed to be. Not everyone can do all of those things. I mean, George Lucas, I mean, he made some amazing films, but the films that he made, the original trilogy that were such hits, that were so incredible, he didn't do those alone. He had a bunch of different people who were working on
And
his
he
team,
listened to them. At
and
that
he
point,
listened. He worked with them. It was a collaboration in those
right,
original
right.
films.
The prequels, the reason why they didn't work is that he started suffering from that thing of thinking that he can just write and direct and produce, and he's this and he's that, and all the people around him were trying to appease him, telling him that he's the best. And that's why there's nobody that steps in the prequels and says, George, listen, this isn't going to work as well as you're imagining it will. It's not going to connect with audiences that way. We should maybe attack it from a different direction. Somebody would have come up to him in the original trilogy and told him that, but by the time he got around to the prequels, all there was in the room was, yes, George, you're the best, George. We'll do whatever you said.
Exactly.
You're the best.
That's all there was, and that's what ruined the prequel
Absolutely.
films. No
Absolutely.
one was willing to say, "Hey, that doesn't actually work, George. Maybe we should do something a little bit different." No, it was just
Jason
always,
Webster says it was
he's a
Christopher
god.
Nolan who came up with Pa Kent's Death for Man of Steel. I hate to say it.
Really?
Listen, Christopher Nolan, I have a lot of good things to say about him, but he is the producer, and like, in that specific movie, especially in Man of Steel, he was very, very active in that movie. Christopher Nolan did play a key role in the production there. It wasn't Snyder working in a vacuum. So as much as like it's easy to just like drop everything on Snyder, in this specific instance, at least with Man of Steel, I think that, Christopher Nolan, uh, he shares much of this blame. And I like
Mhm.
Christopher Nolan. I
I do too. Yeah.
I actually think he can write and direct and produce, and I don't know why in this case he just didn't get it. Sometimes people can make a mistake. It is a scene that's a mistake, but at the same time, the reason why I also, I prefer, I don't know if this even like, I like Snyder better than Gunn, especially these days, is that I've never felt that Snyder wanted to take these characters and make them like woke. I don't think he wanted to call everybody mustache men. At least until today, I don't think that he wanted to do that with these characters. I think that he was really excited about making his movies, and I don't remember also him going to the press and like starting attacking people that didn't like his like woke stuff. I don't remember any of that. Yeah, people liked it, some people didn't. But his demeanor, for the most part, publicly and towards his fans, was usually pretty positive. And in that sense, I can't hate on him. Like the only time that he really bothered me was that Geeks and Gamers charity thing. That I also understand that I think he was sort of bumbling, talking there, and he didn't realize what he was doing. But I think that it would have been nice if he would have somehow found a way to make a statement later or maybe clarify or something, because it didn't come out very nice. I don't care if you like Geeks and Gamers or not. That was a stream where a lot of people from different political spectrum or whatever you want to call it, people got together for a charity event, and I don't think that it was cool the way he what do you remember that whole situation, Professor?
No, I don't.
You really don't know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't remember that at all. No,
I can't believe.
I was not real deep in the YouTube
Oh, I can't believe it, man, I
economy at the
can't believe
time.
it.
Yeah.
I'm like talking and you don't even know what I'm talking about. So basically, there was that guy Uche, who used to kind of roll with the Geeks and Gamers crew. Now, he used to be an NFL player, linebacker or something like that,
Right.
and he was friends with Jeremy. Now, this Uche guy was like, pretty much like far left in his opinions, and somehow him and Jeremy were friends, and they'd play like Super Mario together and things like that. Uche, I don't know how this all happened, but somehow he was connected with Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder at the time, I guess, heard about Geeks and Gamers, but he kind of didn't really understand the whole YouTube space. So what happened was that like Uche, he really wanted to do this something for Snyder. Snyder had like a charity because his daughter, how do I say this, self deleted. So he wanted to
Yeah.
do like a charity in her honor, where you raise money for a charity that helps teenagers that have gone through depression and things like that. It was all for a good cause, and it was a rare occasion where you had all these people coming together from different backgrounds, different channels, people that usually maybe you wouldn't even see them doing anything together. And what happened is that Zack Snyder, the whole idea is that he makes a guest appearance on this stream himself, and everything had been set up. I think already like $100,000 had been raised for this charity, and this stream was like on Uche's channel. But I think that maybe Ryan was there. Were there a few other people that were there from Geeks and Gamers, whatever it is? I don't think Jeremy was there. It's a really long story, but in any case, the stream happened. You don't know what I'm talking about, Professor? You have no idea.
Nope. Nope.
So at the time, there were all these things that may or may not have come from Lucasfilm, but suddenly there was kind of those rewriting whatever ladies that were trying to say that they're mustache men and things like that, and there was a lot of pressure. A lot of these studios were putting pressure. They didn't like these kind of YouTube channels and things that were criticizing them, and I can't tell you for sure, but I feel like prior to Zack Snyder coming on this stream, it was discovered by certain parties, including maybe whoever contacts he had at the studio, that he was going to be doing this stream that had something to do with some of the people from Geeks and Gamers. Now, at this point, I think he got calls with a lot of pressure. And at the end, he finally came on the stream that there were all these people that I'm telling you about. and he seemed kind of stressed, like somebody was telling him to say something because, like, they probably are telling him, "You're about to do a stream with a bunch of mustache men." And he didn't know what to do because he supposedly it was a charity, but they're telling him he's a mustache man. It was a really crappy situation. He didn't handle it properly. He gets on the stream and he starts saying something like, I just want to say I'm not affiliated with Geeks and Gamers. It's important." Now, at the time, there was something that happened that there was some Asian girls that were attacked, and he's like, "It's important to stop like Asian hate," and he starts saying all this stuff. Now, I understand that he wasn't trying to say that Geeks and Gamers were in charge of Asian hate, but somehow the way that his words came out seemed that way. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. I see what you mean.
So then what happened was it was such a downer. I remember watching this live, and I thought to myself, "This is such a nice moment that people are all getting together for this charity event." I was really happy, you know what I mean? I was watching it, I felt like, there was some, I don't know if to say pride or whatever you wanna call it, that we're all, like, fans, but we get together and do nice things, and there was such a positive vibe, and he came on and said this thing, and it was, like, the biggest downer. He really, like, it was the most depressing thing. It went from, like, being, like, the most, like, positive, like, stream ever to being a total negative stream, and I understand that he had a lot of pressure, and I think that he didn't realize what he was getting himself into, and maybe he mishandled it, and all that's true. But if people raised money for his charity, I think that later he needed to make a statement and say, "Listen, I appreciate everybody, no matter who it is, that helped with the event." There was something that needed to be done there, and the whole thing, like, "I'm not affiliated with him in any way," is kind of a strange thing to say when you come on a stream.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
That's
feel like
weird.
nobody remembers this,
That's
and, like,
weird.
I'm sure this happened. Like, I remember this happening.
I seem to remember somebody talking about it, but it was not something I was actually spent any time reading or seeing.
Anyways, so yeah, there was something like that with him, and it was unfortunate. I actually think that, aside from that incident, I always thought that he seemed like a pretty decent and nice guy. I think that that situation is,
Yeah.
was not handled well. Somebody says Jason Webster that his Achilles heel's always been writing screenplays. Yeah, I mean, it's fine. It's fine. There are really good directors that don't touch the screenplay. You give them a
Yeah.
screenplay and they direct it. It's totally fine. It doesn't make him a less good director or anything like that. I think that Hollywood has sort of warped people's minds into thinking that if they don't do everything, then they're not good. No, you can direct a movie and you can do a good job, and nobody's gonna say, "Oh, like, if the movie is good, the movie is good."
Yeah. Yeah. And if it's a team that makes the film, then everyone gets to celebrate that. Everyone gets to be a part of saying, "We made something great." Right? Rather than, "Well, oh, look, we have this one guy that made this amazing thing and it was all him," right? Because it's never all just one guy, right? They didn't do all the editing, they didn't do all the special effects, they didn't do all of the, costuming. There's so much of that film that wasn't that auteur that made it, right? So why not make sure that you've got the best people writing your script, you've got the best people, you know, doing your cinematography for you, the best people doing the direction, and then make something excellent, right? That seems like that should be where we go with things, but, I'm not in Hollywood, so I don't know. Well, I don't know, Price. I have heard that Chainsaw Man may be the big movie for this weekend. So what did you think?
Okay, I have to say here, I have never watched any previous Chainsaw thing, so I kind of came into this not even knowing what to expect. I thought that perhaps I'd watch it and I wouldn't understand it at all. Surprisingly, I think that I understood the main idea. I probably would like to go back and catch up things to understand a little bit about the lore and certain things that I was watching, even though somehow I still got the basic idea of it. And what I thought about it was that it was a pretty good movie. I rather enjoyed it. Uh, I'll just give a little bit of background, and my explanation is going to be kind of weird because, again, I don't live and breathe these characters. The thing starts off that initially there's this Denji guy that I guess he is also known as Chainsaw Man. Now, this thing, exactly how this lore works, I don't really know. But even if you're like a regular person, you could turn into a chainsaw man. That you're like face and arms are chainsaws. How exactly that happens? Why? I'm sure there's some kind of explanation, but I understood that that's what's happening. There's also another guy that he's been sort of appointed as partner. I think his name is Beam, and this Beam guy, he can turn himself into a shark. That the other guy can like ride the shark and be a chainsaw. I know this sounds very strange. It made more sense while I was watching the movie, and yeah. So let me first of all find this thing. It is an anime thing. It's very much like anime. It's Japanese, and it's let me try to pull this up. I didn't want the ad. I just want the okay. So let me share this right now, and hopefully people can see it. Chainsaw Man, the movie. Caleb Levine said this is the greatest review ever. I don't think it will be. So basically, the thing starts off, and the one thing that I liked about it is that immediately there's two ladies that this guy is sort of talking with. One he goes on a date with. Her name is I'm going to tell you right now. Her name is Makima. I guess she initially maybe was like an antagonist or something, but now she's his friend. In any case, he kind of has the hots for her. They go out to movies together, and they keep watching another movie and another movie and another movie, and all of them are crappy. But then at the end, there's one that like makes them feel something, and then it seems like they've formed a connection. But then, as he goes to like eat at some kind of cafe or something, some other girl starts talking to him, and then he starts digging this other girl called Rezi, whatever her name is. So he starts going out with her. All of this I actually liked a lot. First of all, I never see anything that you have like a guy and like the ladies like him and he's like hanging out with the ladies. I don't even see that. Like that was something that you could only watch now in like a Japanese animation or something, and you don't see that in kind of an American or anything Western. So I kind of like that. Also, I guess part of the style is these ladies, they act very kind of they're like femme fatales. They act and talk kind of the way the voices are done, and kind of have a sexy vibe to them, or whatever you want to call it. I thought all of that was cool. What happens is that eventually it turns out that this Resi lady, whatever her name is actually she's like this evil devil girl that she also has, like, just like he has the chainsaw thing, she has like the alter ego type of thing as well, where she's like the bomb devil or something like that, and then she can like blow everybody up. I know this sounds so weird. I'm thinking of myself explaining it, and I don't know how to even explain the weird things that I saw. But bottom line is, she tries to kill him, and actually you can kill him, but then this other guy has to come and revive him. In any case, there's a lot of battling. He turns into the chainsaw man. He battles her that she like looks like this weird creature. All this stuff happens, and overall, it is bonkers. It's strange, but it's hard not to appreciate what you see in the movie. I like the animation. I like the general vibe of it. It probably would have helped me a bit more if I knew a little bit more of the lore and the backstory of how exactly we got to the position we're in. But even without knowing anything, I could enjoy how cool it looked. There's cool music, there's some metal, there's some electronic music, there's like ladies. I like what I'm seeing here. And when I saw it, I thought to myself, this is what escapism looks like. Like what I used to think that I want to see escapism. When you think of like Hollywood productions, they're so stale and stupid and predictable. In this movie, I can't predict from 1 second to another what I'm going to see. It'll be like the weirdest crap is gonna, like, show up, and I'm all about that. Like, I love it. It's fine. I don't mind that all this crazy stuff happens. Just yeah, suddenly, like, people turning into other things and some angel, but she's not an angel, she's actually a devil, and then there's some other lady, and she's, like, slicing this other lady's throat. Bonkers stuff happens here, and you're somehow just like, "Oh, okay." And it does feel like an escapist, movie. It's also artsy, I like the animation. I liked a lot of things about it. I actually quite enjoyed it. If I only had one regret is that I didn't do the homework of watching all the stuff leading up to it, but even without that, I was still able to enjoy the movie, even though it's difficult for me to even explain what I saw there.
I think you equipped yourself quite well, Price, trying to explain some bonkers anime that you have no idea what's going on with the background and where all the characters came from before this and everything like that. I can only imagine trying to dive into something that,
I was able to
as
enjoy it.
these anime, universes tend to get so complex and bizarre. I've seen my son, watches a lot of anime, and I'll sit there and I'll see an episode, it's like, second season or something, and I'm like, I don't understand a thing that just happened. Can you explain like why that guy was able to, the magic powers or whatever? Like, yeah,
It was so
that's pretty good.
imaginative, though. It was so
Yeah,
imaginative.
yeah.
You know what? Even if I didn't fully understand why but I did get it. The other guy can revive him. He is Denji, but he's also the Chainsaw Man. Kind of like I don't know if to say like he transforms into the Chainsaw Man. I don't mind that. I thought it was kind of cool. I'm sure that if I watch all the episodes prior, I understand maybe more about how he became the Chainsaw Man or why he transforms into that. But you know what? Even not knowing didn't really keep me from enjoying it. I actually enjoyed seeing him like become the Chainsaw Man. And also what I liked about the movie is it kind of took its time. The first 30 minutes, it's all about like him talking to these ladies. And he's like, "Oh, I like this lady, but I also like that lady." And like, "Oh, like," and I don't know, like it had a whole different vibe. And suddenly, from the moment that this Resi or whatever her name is kisses him, and basically while she kisses him, she starts killing him. That's when you kind of understand that this thing, especially for me, you understand how bonkers this whole thing is. Because that's really when like things like become crazy, and then there's like car chases and battles and stuff, and I don't know, I enjoyed it. I actually thought it was cool. I didn't suffer, I wasn't bored, and, like I said, my only regret is that I didn't watch the few seasons or whatever it is prior, because going in knowing all the little details probably would have been a better experience overall, but even without knowing anything, I didn't dislike the movie. I was able to watch it. It's more inventive and imaginative than most of what Hollywood makes, and, I am totally okay with it. Don't have any issue with the movie.
And you can see why so much of the generation coming up has just left Hollywood behind and is just diving into anime, diving into entertainment from
Because they don't have
Japan
any
and
filters.
South Korea.
They have like
Yeah.
a lady with like, sorry, I don't know how to explain this. Like it's drawn like a lady with boobs, and it's like a literal femme fatale. Like fatale, she's like all over him, and like he thinks that like she's all into him. She's like, oh, we got to get into this pool now and be naked and swim and do all this stuff. And like at this point, she still thinks that she really likes him, and it's like it's all really kind of interesting. Everything that happens, I like I told you, from scene to scene, it's not like I could see what was coming. It's not that every scene I knew exactly what was going to happen. In fact, whatever you think is the weirdest thing that could happen in that scene, that's probably what happens, and it's out of left field weird. It's like, "Oh, okay." And that's but if I'm like that throughout the whole movie, that I'm just kind of baffled and mesmerized at the same time at all these strange things that I'm looking at. There's something fun about it. It feels like escapism. This it's escapism, and it doesn't have the annoying Western filters. They don't care if there's a lady and he likes the ladies and now he wants to go out with two ladies. They don't care about any of that stuff. There's no whatever that annoying Disney crap. There's none of that there.
No, just bumping heads. Like they
It
actually like
feels it
kiss each
feels
other.
It feels like it's James Gunn was like, "Oh, my Superman's punk rock." No, your Superman is not punk rock. This is punk rock. Do you get what I mean? This is like so out there. This feels to me a lot more like punk rock. It even has like this metal in the music. Like there's metal music and like weird stuff happening. And I'm like, this almost feels like an underground wacky thing. I felt a lot like more intrigued by it than most of what like Hollywood churns out. And I'm I can totally understand why this whole comic book industry in the US, especially as it went so woke over the past several years, I can understand why all this younger generation is all running to these animes and manga and all those things. I understood that fully today. When I saw this movie, I'm like, I get it. Like I said, this is punk rock. This is something
Yeah.
like cool and different and interesting, and I started to get it. I really did because I don't know. It was fun to watch.
Yeah. Cool.
There's a final thing that I will say that at the end there was like an end credit scene, and I sat and I waited and I watched it, and I think that whoever came to like he's sitting in a cafe and some young girl, another one comes to talk to him. I assume that if you know what the lore is, this is like interesting that this young lady arrived. I just didn't know what the lore is, so I'm just like, I guess this is important, but I don't really know. But
Yeah.
it's even that didn't take away from my enjoyment.
Yeah. Well, a fun film
The
then,
last thing
I
I
think.
saw
Yeah.
that like kind of reminded, but it wasn't exactly because it wasn't as violent and gory, was the Boy and the Heron or whatever that thing was called.
Yeah.
That was a Miyazaki movie. I saw that in
Yes.
the theater. Also, that I also remember watching that and being really impressed in the sense that like it also wasn't like a predictable type of animated movie. It felt like a surreal dream, and I rather enjoyed that as well. This one was a bit different. That one still had a little more like it wasn't as gory or bonkers or weird as this one. This one is like all in. It's going like all in. I don't know. It's you can't not appreciate the imagination that goes into this movie. I'll say that.
Yeah. I have heard from people who enjoy this series that it is very much a like no holds barred, just balls to the wall, yeah, gore, action, craziness, just coming from every direction. That's just kind of where this series, and as it sounds like the film as well. That's kind of one of the things that is very typical of this show.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And somebody said Ghost in the Shell. I've seen that. I'm not like a guy that's
Yeah.
seen every single anime, not by a long shot. I've missed most of the anime, but here and there, if there's like a classic thing, I may have seen it. But this is different. This didn't feel like those. It felt like something different.
Yeah.
It was gory and like you said, balls to the wall, but not in a bad way.
Yeah.
I encourage this type of creativity. If I'm sitting down and I'm watching a bunch of crazy stuff and I'm like, whoa, this is crazy, and they manage to have that impact on me, that means that they're doing something right.
Yeah. Yeah, Ghost in the Shell was very different. It's very slow, it's methodical, it's
Yes.
very, philosophical in the way that it explores a lot of the ideas that you're presented. Yes, it does get gory, there's definitely parts where that happens, but, there's a lot of philosophical stuff in there about, like, what is the soul, and what does it mean to, what is the actual connection that you have into your mind and your body, and how does that actually express itself when you can transfer yourself from one place to another. There's a lot of stuff that has to go with that in Ghost in the Shell. That really is that's an absolute classic, Jason Webster. That's one of the true classic anime films, especially in that sci-fi genre. Personally, I prefer Akira. I just both movies are masterpieces, but Akira has always been sort of my go-to. Might be that I saw that one first, so I have a special connection to it over Ghost in the Shell. But both of those films are absolutely fantastic in the animation, just stunning. The way that they put all of that animation on screen with not a lot of today there's a lot of help from computers and animating all of that stuff. Back then, it was mostly hand animated, and they created those universes, those characters, everything from the animation. I have actually read the mangas for both Ghost in the Shell and for Akira, they're excellent. They have amazing art styles. But yeah, personally, I like Akira more, but Ghost in the Shell is definitely a classic piece of anime for
I
sure.
liked Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah. All right.
Let's see for a second.
Well,
So yeah,
yeah.
overall, I think that this is a good movie, and depending on what you like, I had an enjoyable time at the theater. It was an interesting experience. Maybe even it'll make me go and watch whatever seasons lead up to this just so that I can watch it again and understand it a bit more.
Yeah.
But even without watching it all, I still think that the general idea of what was going on there, I still feel like I pretty much understood it. Sure, there's probably like additional lore and nuances that I probably, went above my head. But aside from that, the general idea of what was going on here, like the relationships between people and like the certain points that it was seemingly trying to make, I think I got that. So even I would say that even if you don't know anything and you've never watched anything, you sit down and watch this movie, it's still a very kind of intriguing movie to watch, regardless.
Oh, great. Well, I hope it does well at the box office this weekend. A lot of anime films have been performing extremely well at the box office recently. And what's interesting is part of that, a lot of these anime films, they are giving them real exclusivity windows. They're putting them in the theaters and saying, "Yeah, you're not gonna get to watch this on streaming or own a Blu-ray or anything of it for 3, 4 months," you know? Like, if you wanna see this, catch it in the theater. There's a lot of the streaming services, a lot of the studios that are just not willing to commit to that anymore. I mean, how many days was it before they put Superman, the latest Superman on streaming, right? It happened felt like it was, like, overnight, like, "What? Oh, it's on streaming? Wow."
And
Or at
here
least it
it's
was on,
also it's smart because they
VOD.
do the dubbing in English, and once they
Yeah,
dub it in English, then whatever language it was in, it doesn't even matter. You know what I mean? It looks fine.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
they do it in a way that it looks perfectly fine. I don't know how to explain it. You don't watch it and think, "Oh, they're talking in a different language." Like it looks great. You can watch the movie. It's totally cool.
Yeah, and there's a lot of, AI that's being used now for some of these translation things to be able to, uh, y just mildly alter some of the animation. I don't know that that happened with this film, but I know that this is something that's been discussed. It's been, tested in a number of places where they can mildly change the way that the facial motions happen so that they can make it match up more clearly with languages,
It looked
in
fine to me.
other
I didn't
languages.
sit around thinking, "Oh, they're speaking a different language and this and that." I didn't even think about that. I just watched the movie and enjoyed it. I liked everything that I was seeing, and like I said, the only thing that I have to do is I'm gonna have to sit and watch these
The rest of the
episodes.
series, yeah, I think it's on, I think there's a couple of seasons of it on Hulu, if I'm not mistaken. I
So
think
I'm
that's
gonna
where it was.
watch it and then I'll rewatch the movie. I'll still do a review. Maybe I'll do a review, like an early review, just of me being an idiot watching it, and then maybe I can do streams or something. I can like watch the series or something and talk about the episodes as kind of an idiot that doesn't know what he's doing. Like I'll sit around and talk about it. Maybe there's an audience for me talking about anime.
For 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 Price talking about anime that came out 2 years ago.
You know what? Some
Why not?
people would enjoy that.
Why not?
I mean, does
Yeah.
it matter if it came out 2 years ago? Who cares? It's still anime, right?
Who cares? Yeah. 2 years ago, 3 years ago is when it when it premiered, 2022. So
These, along with the classic Disney animated feature films and Hanna-Barbera series, The Jetsons, Wacky Races, Scooby-Doo, and Hong Kong Phooey, and Dog Wonder led me to study animation. Cool. You know, when I was young, I actually did study briefly animation. I had like this kind of old, I don't know if it was like something that like you did a frame by frame. But at the time, I'm dating myself, but it wasn't like today where you could do frame by frame with a computer, and then with AI and like that it'll do the frames and the in between frames. I actually had to move things, and then like it was an old school type of camera with like film, and I had to like it had a little extension in the camera where you click this button and you do this frame, 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 and you keep moving stuff. You actually do two frames, two frames, two frames, two frames. You have to like double click each time and move the things around. And I did some animation, and
yeah.
I think that as a kid, I even got a good grade doing it. It was a much different process then. It's not like today. Today, you could do whatever you want with a computer. There, so much planning had to go in to the dumbest type of animation. Like the most ridiculous, stupid animation had so much planning going into it.
Yeah, I've done some stop motion animation. Yeah, it's interesting, tedious in a lot of
Tedious,
ways, yeah. But, yeah, it's interesting to be able to do that.
tedious for sure. So yeah, that was my review of Chainsaw Man. I know it was a strange review. Even if I did watch all those episodes trying to explain why this man has a chainsaw heart and turns into chainsaws is a strange thing to do, but it somehow made sense when I was watching it. Uh, Marla Sherendorf says, "We drew images on each film cell on in grades 5, 6." Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, that was the thing. You had film cells. That's how they did all the Disney stuff. I mean, the level of artistry that went into those older movies, those Disney movies, those things, it's something that people can't even understand today.
Oh, no, every single one of the cells for something like, uh, an absolutely gorgeous film like Snow White, right? Every single frame of that hand painted onto animation cells. Just I it's hard to even fathom today, right? With what all the computers can do for us and everything can do to speed things up, that there was that film where all of those frames were just hand painted by those animators that drew those out and filled those in, and, it's incredible, really. I'm actually quite sad that we have seen so little, like, true hand-drawn 2D animation, that's kind of been moved away from, and, instead, it's just all this 3D animated stuff. There's so much beauty and character in 2D, that simple, you know, hand-drawn animation. I wish we still got to see more of that, but it's just not, it's not financially feasible, I guess, anymore compared to producing something with 3D animation, so
Yeah. Well, I think that was my review for Chainsaw Man, and then I saw another movie.
yeah, when I see you saw Good Boy? That's
I
the
saw
horror movie from the dog's point of view, right? That's the one
Yes,
that yeah.
it
I've heard a
is.
few people who said they really enjoyed that, so I'm curious to hear, what you have to say about it.
So I will now show watch Chainsaw Man series. It explains more. The episodes aren't long. I will watch it. I think it's probably what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, it looks like it just has the 1 season on Hulu.
Oh, that's not too bad.
No, no, and their episodes are only 24 minutes long, so,
How many episodes are there?
12, 13, 12.
I see.
Yeah.
Interesting. So this movie that I saw, it's called Good Boy, and what happens is that it's through the eyes of a dog, and it's sort of a horror type of movie. Now, the main idea of the story is that he um he has an owner that goes to the he's kind of in going off the grid a bit into a place, I guess, that his grandfather lived, and we're seeing everything through the dog's eyes. Now, the owner seems to have some kind of illness, trouble breathing, some kind of illness. I guess
Mhm.
that's the reason why he goes to this cabin in the woods, because he thinks it'll help him. And somehow the dog is there, and as he's there, like, the owner keeps on getting sicker, and there's also some, like, evil forces that he sees and things like that. Uh, I'll tell you what, this is not the easiest movie to watch for me, because I'm just not used to watching a movie where you're sort of trying to get into the mind of the dog, because it's sort of from his perspective. At the same time, I first of all appreciated the effort. I like it when somebody does something different. So I can't sit around and complain all day when people just make the same movie over and over again. And then one guy is like, hey, why don't I make a movie? And it's as if, like, the dog is the main character and you're seeing it through the eyes of the dog. Love the ambition. I also think that the guy was smart. The movie is like 80 minutes. And I know, well, before I saw it, I'm like, 80 minutes, that's not a long movie. But when I watched it, I understood why it's only 80 minutes, because there's only so much. Like, it's really, it required me to very much focus to try to kind of pick up on everything that's going on because of the dog angle. But you know what? I still enjoyed it, and the one thing I'll say is I really like the dog. And this is no CGI. This is a real dog.
Yeah.
And the interesting part is that when the movie ends, you see the filmmaker explain that he basically spent 3 years really quietly and slowly making this movie with his dog, and he explained this whole situation and his whole process and how he did it, and he showed us some examples from the movie, how, like, he made this scene and that scene. It was like a 10-minute little featurette after the movie if you sit in the theater, and I really appreciated the process of what he did here. You could tell that
Mhm.
it was a guy that was very passionate about it. It didn't look like a guy that he's thinking, "Oh, I'm gonna be like a gazillionaire." I think that this guy was super excited to make this movie with him and his dog, and I overall think that a pretty interesting job was done here. It's not perfect, and it's certainly something that you have to kind of be very patient and adapt to try to watch this kind of movie. I appreciate the ambition. I overall enjoyed the movie. It was thankfully not a million hours, and the best part of it, I will still say, is that dog is such a likable dog.
Good puppy. Good boy.
Hard not to like this dog. Yeah, Marla Chernoff says it's a cute dog. In the movie, he's even cuter. Like, he's just, I don't know. It's hard not to like this dog. It's like he's such a. Uh, I think that the dog is like the best dog actor ever. This
Better than Benji?
this is the best. I think this is the best dog ever, like, committed to film. Jason Webster. Well, the dog would be inexpensive compared to human actors and a much better actor than the majority of them. This dog is a wonderful actor. I would absolutely like. I think that I think he could be nominated. I would give him an Oscar over, like, Pedro Pascal. If
Yeah.
this year in the Academy Awards, it's like between this dog, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Pedro Pascal, I'm giving this dog the Oscar. I think this dog deserves it.
Give it to the dog. We gotta represent the minorities, right? We gotta make sure that we have, there's it's a first, right? That's what they're always looking for with the, with giving out these awards. There's gotta be a first. It's gotta be the first black man who got this award for this particular time or whatever. Like, it always has to be some sort of first. So why don't we make it the first dog to get an Emmy, the first dog to get a Golden Globe, the first dog to get an Oscar? Sounds great to me.
It's just I love, like, when I see people so passionate about making a movie, and I you felt that here. It's not perfect, but I enjoyed it for whatever it was. So, yeah, I mean, you know what? This week, I had a pretty interesting week. I saw this movie with a dog. I thought it was pretty cool. I saw the Chainsaw Man movie. I thought that was cool. Yes, it's difficult for me to explain the movie to people. I don't know how I'm going to review it. I don't even know how to review it now. I mean, I was listening to myself speaking and I said to myself that this makes no sense what I'm saying. But hopefully it made sense to somebody.
Yep.
In any case, yeah, better than Digby. I'm trying to think Digby. Who's Digby? I don't know which dog is that. Which dog is Digby?
Digby, the biggest dog in the world.
I don't know. I have no idea. But I always wanted a liger. Have you ever seen a liger? Ligers are great. That's
Yeah.
like the thing where it's like a lion with a tiger. I love those. They seem like the coolest. Like I want to have like a liger. I know it's not realistic. I don't really want one because I think, you know, I wouldn't know what to do with one, but they seem so nice. Have you seen a liger before?
I've seen pictures. Yeah.
I'm trying to see.
Yeah. I've got a Digby so you can see what Digby is. Okay, I got that shared.
You got Digby? Okay.
Yeah.
Uh
Yeah. So is Digby, the biggest dog in the world. So it's one of those like, you know, the 50-foot man, 50-foot woman, whatever. Well, it's a giant dog.
I see.
But that's Digby. Big shaggy dog. Oh, and the train goes through his legs. Yep. Nice. Anyway, that's Digby. So
Well, he seemed all right.
Yep.
I really want a liger. I won't lie to you. That's they seem so nice.
My goodness,
They're
I'm
really
sure there
big.
probably a lot of maintenance to take care of them. I would imagine, but
Yeah,
you
I
know.
think they are very high maintenance. But they seem so nice.
Liger, also known as lion. This is the largest cat in the world. Liger,
Can you see it?
also known as lion tiger, is a hybrid animal resulting from the crossbreeding of a male lion and a female
Oh,
tiger.
now it's just blurred
They
out.
can reach lengths of up to
Blurred?
12 feet, including their
Yeah.
tail, and weigh between 360 to 550 kilograms, making them the world's largest cat. Being hybrids, ligers
see it
do
now?
not occur
Yeah,
naturally in the
I'm seeing it.
wild. They are typically bred for educational purposes or to attract visitors to zoos and wildlife parks.
Look how great it is.
While male ligers are typically sterile, meaning they cannot reproduce, female ligers have occasionally been known to reproduce. When a female liger mates with a lion, the offspring are
I hate
called
this AI
lilligers.
slop, but I really
And when
like
she
the
mates with a
liger.
tiger, the
We need it.
offspring are called tilligers.
I need a
This is
tilliger.
the
That's what
largest
I
cat
need.
in the world. Liger, also known as lion tiger, is a hybrid
Okay. Anyhow, I really like the liger. It bothers me so much that people can't just read it and then you need the stupid AI thing. The only tiger is the... You sound like such an idiot.
It is the
It annoys me.
largest cat in the world.
He is the largest cat in the world, and I will... I don't know why this annoys me so much, but like I can tell that it's some stupid AI.
Yep.
Is Good Boy with Ki Hu Kwan? I don't think it is. I don't think it is. I think that the main actor in the movie is the guy that actually is the guy filming the movie, and he's actually the owner of the dog, and that's how they were able to do it. And he made the movie over the course of 3 years, really like just quietly, and did it like he explained at the end of the movie that sometimes he'd sit there and it could be like a whole day to get a certain shot from his dog that he's like going from one side to another, and he just would really calmly do this because he believed in this idea so much. And I appreciate that. So I wish people were like that today, that they're so excited about things and they kind of go out of their way to do something different. We don't see enough of that.
Nope.
Uh, Putin's cat says there are AI voice sounds that sound better than that. I'm sure there are, but I usually can tell when it's AI, and it just annoys me. They're so lazy. And usually, also once you have that, it's like this kind of AI slop to begin with. It's like the video is an insult along with a stupid AI reading it. But I guess you can't stop technology from progressing, I guess.
Yep, and there's incentive for all these creators to use the AI voiceover stuff because they just type up a script and then hit, print basically. They hit the button for it to read it, and then they can walk off and let it make money for them. It's
But that's why YouTube has
yeah.
become there's too much of it going on.
Oh, indeed, yes. That is part of, I believe, the term that has been coined for this and what has happened in many different areas of the world. Prices in shitification. It's what has been
Yeah.
happening.
I told you
AI
that
has been playing a big role in that.
I told you that that I met somebody from YouTube. Did I tell you that?
Mm-mm.
I didn't tell you.
No, I don't think you did.
So I was at a meal. It's a really long story, but I was seated next to somebody that worked at YouTube, and that person works on at a department that had something to do with copyright, and she was also telling me that they're making an effort now to crack down, so there'll be less AI slop or whatever it is. And I sat there and it was the first time I could talk to somebody from YouTube and tell them everything that I think. And I'm sure that this person probably she regretted ever speaking with me. And at the end, she's like, "Tell me what your channel is," and I'm like, "No, I can't do it because I was in the human form. If I wasn't Price of
Yes.
Reason at that moment."
Yeah. Yeah.
So she was like, "Well, what's your YouTube channel? It's interesting to find out which one it is." And I'm like, "Oh, nothing, nothing." And that was it.
Can't really say. I have my secret identity.
I wonder what would have happened if I would have said it. I feel like after half an hour of me telling this lady my opinions, I feel like it probably wasn't a good idea to give my YouTube channel. Who
And the
knows
next
what would have
day,
happened?
Price of Reason does not have a channel.
Right, it would have been that 404 or whatever it is. But it was interesting in any case. It was the only time that I could. It was the only time that I could do it. That I could talk to YouTube. Putin's cat says I can talk like culture and make him say communist baloney sausage. Make him say communist baloney sausage. It's kind of what he sounds like. At least in my opinion. What do I know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I have kind of a sore throat, so I'm probably not even as good as. Not that I do good impressions to begin with, but he does have his way of talking, though.
Yes.
So yeah, I think that that both of the movies that I saw were pretty decent. Those were good movies. And last time I brought this up, I don't know if you've been watching. I caught up on what's it called, on Tulsa King.
Yeah.
It's okay. I do feel like
Yeah.
this season is just kind of going through the motions. It's not bad enough for me to stop watching, but it also feels like it's not as good as it should be. It's just kind of okay.
Yeah, same here. I've been watching through it and keeping up with it week to week, and yeah, it's not bad, but at the same time, I don't feel like it's offering anything new. It feels like it's just treading already well-worn ground. It's just kind of doing the same thing. Like as you said, going through the motions. It's just kind of like, okay, Dwight's getting into another dangerous business. Oh, he's got to go up against another mob. oh, New York wants their piece, and they're gonna, threaten him until they get what they want. And it's like, okay, we've seen all of this before. Like this is all just a rehashed version of the same plots we got in the first two seasons. So I don't know. Like you said, it's not bad enough that I'm going to turn it off, that I'm not willing to come back for another episode. But at the same time, it just feels like it's just sort of treading water. And we've already heard that they've changed writer. They're bringing back the same writers. They were the same writers' room or something that they had for the first couple of seasons, that they did not have for the third season. They're bringing them back for the fourth season. Maybe it's the head writer. I don't remember, but we know that they've got some people coming back. So maybe it's just that, you know, this particular season, maybe it just didn't work all that well, and they're willing to kind of go back and bring the old gang back together and give it another shot with season 4. I don't know. So far, nothing to write home about. That's for sure.
It's not bad enough for me to stop watching, but nothing to write home about. The Dead Man says Price does a great impression of Nick Weiser. I don't know about that. I do an impression of Nick Weiser, but what I will say is I haven't hung out with Nick Weiser in a long time, and that would be nice. I hope at some point he and I get a chance to hang out. I haven't seen him in a while, but yeah, my impression of him is, what do I usually say? Like, I got myself a pot of beefaroni, and my kids love it. That's usually Nick. And woo-wee, I love myself some beefaroni.
Absolutely perfect Price. I thought Nick was right here with me.
Right here with us. Right here. That's exactly what he sounds like. He loves beefaroni. Is Sly still whining he sold the rights to Rocky for 50 years ago? You know, I think that the thing with Rocky is he probably should have done something years ago. He should have renegotiated something years ago. Meaning the first Rocky does well and they want another Rocky. That was the time to walk in with managers and agents and say, listen, I will do more Rockies. You want more Rocky? I'll do another one. I got to get like a production credit here. I got to get points from the franchise. At the end of the day, I'm the one that put this idea together. I'm really, I was technically a producer on the previous one. Let's make this right. Give me like a few points off this franchise and everybody will be happy. He should have done that right after the first movie and right before the second one. Because what were they going to do? Make Rocky 2 without him? I don't think they could have. I think that was the time to like come in with a manager and agent and do some swinging dick. Instead,
Yeah.
for many, many years, he did not own any part of that franchise. And at the end, like, at 80 years old or something, 70 something years old, he woke up one day all upset that like he didn't get a piece of his franchise. I- you know, it's also, it reminds me, and I really like Sylvester Stallone. Don't get me wrong. I am a big fan of Sylvester Stallone, but I'm also sort of being a realist here. Sometimes when you're not on top of your game, you really want to do some business that'll set you up. And that movie opened the door to Sylvester Stallone's entire career. First of all, he got paid for those movies. Then he got paid for a bunch of other movies. So nobody could say that like Stallone is in the poorhouse or anything like that. He can say, "Well, I came up with this idea, and I feel like I don't have a piece of it today." And unfortunately, that sometimes happens when you're at the beginning of your journey or career or whatever it is. It's the same thing with Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift went and she wanted to become a star, and some label said, "Okay, we'll let you become. We'll help you. We'll sign you to our label. You release your albums through us. We will put you on the map. We'll do everything, and we'll make you a star." So she does all of this, and when they give her the contract, her father, who was bankrolling her whole career, like training or whatever it is since she was a girl, they bring all these lawyers. They look over the contracts. Everybody agrees. Years later, Taylor Swift like made everybody miserable and like, kept whining about how she lost everything and they took everything from her. She ended up, because of that deal, with $400 million, and somehow she was the victim in all of it. I mean, I understand that you don't like to give your masters away, but when nobody knows who you are and you want to be $400 million richer, sometimes you cut a deal that involves somebody getting your masters. I mean, why would this company go to the effort to make you a star so you can get $400 million if at the end they don't make anything from it? Do you, do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not saying, I understand that sometimes I understand that as a musician myself, that having a record label, somebody kind of taking your masters and you not owning that, I can understand why that would upset somebody. At the same time, though, let's look at it differently. Let's say today I own a company and I tell you, Professor, I want you to do some work for me. It's creative. It's something that you have to come up with. You have to work the next year, like for my company. By the end of it, you'll have like, 10 $10 million. Uh, but of course, when you leave the company, the work is ours. It's ours. It's not yours anymore. That's why we're giving you $10 million. Chances are that you're going to say, great,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Like, even if that year of work, that all of the stuff that you worked, it's their patent, whatever it is, you're going to walk out with $10 million. Or if you think the patent is worth more, if they give you like $20 million. But all I'm saying is, if there's an understanding of how much money you're going to get, and then you make that money, and then if you even created something and they own it and you got like 10 or $20 million, that's part of the deal. So
Yeah.
back to Stallone, what I'm saying is that at that moment in time, he needed something to like open all the doors and put him on the map and do whatever. Of course, I think he was great in Rocky. He was great when it came to writing it. I think that it was probably the best performance of his entire career. He also helped with the production, something that he didn't really get credit for. He did a lot of great things. But at the same time, if he didn't do that deal then, you wouldn't even know who he is today.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah.
Cameron sold
Absolutely.
the rights to Terminator for $1. That was unfortunate. But yes, sometimes when you're not the big shot that you are later, you know, you have to make decisions that may not seem like the best at that moment, but if you don't make them, you won't have your career.
Yep. Yep. Sometimes you just got to take the deal that you've got in front of you.
Sometimes you
And
got to do that. There's no choice.
in the end, yeah, it's like, well, I can get the $1 million right now that's going to get me out of debt and help me pay off, my car and give me money so that I have food on the table. Well, if you're told, well, guess what? That could be $100 million in 10 years. That's not going to help me today. That's not going to help me today to put food on my table and pay my bills. So sometimes, yeah, you got to take the deal that's in front of you. And even if you feel like it's worth more than that in the future, it is what it is. You just have to move forward and, keep building new things, keep doing new things, hoping you're going to get another shot to make another big payday. I mean, that's just it's the way it is. As they
Yeah.
say, a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush.
Yeah, that's why. I mean, at the end of the day, I think about the $400 million. Also, Taylor Swift did all this stuff. She basically, she wanted to leave her company, this record label, and they tried to cut a deal with her, either to have her pay something or then like they'll work out a deal where she has an extension, and at the end they'll end up giving her all her music. Like, sign with me for another 5 years, and at the end of it, you'll own all of your masters. Which, you could get upset at it, but those people put her on the map, and it wasn't the worst deal they could have offered her. She made it seem like, oh no, they're doing this because I'm a woman. It's like, no, they're not doing it because you're a woman. They're doing it because they initially invested money in you, and they believed in you, and you wouldn't have a career without them. I mean, sure, I can understand why somebody would feel frustrated, but trust me, in that moment when you don't have $400 million, you're willing to go with any deal because you want the $400 million.
Mhm.
So at the beginning, she started causing problems. So then I don't know what they did. They sold it to this other guy. Then because of her people, those Swiffers or whatever, they started threatening him and his family. At the end, he sold it to some other company. And at the end, over the years, with all her touring and everything she did, she made enough money and she just went and paid money for that final company that had it. They worked out a deal. They paid her the money and then she got her catalog. And she probably could have done that from day one. Maybe she didn't have money initially. Over the years, she made like more hundreds of millions, more hundred mil. At the end, she's like, fine, here's the money. I'll buy my catalog. So instead of causing this drama and just annoying the whole world with this, she could have just gathered the money and when the time was right, just pay for it and gotten it. And that's what she did at the end. All of her I'm a woman victim thing didn't help her at all, in my opinion.
Nah. No, not very helpful.
No, not very helpful. But I don't know. Listen, I'm an artist, and I can understand why it would annoy somebody, but I can also see the other angle of it. I mean, you want that success, and it's a difference. It's a difference between nobody ever hearing who you are and you living like in a tent, and you having $400 million. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Today it's even more than 400 million. She has like a billion something. I
Oh
don't know
yeah,
what.
she's ridiculous. Oh, what else do
And
we have? What else do we have on
the docket, there was
right?
something.
Oh, the gamer. Yeah.
Yeah, the gamer has layoffs.
Yeah. Let's see. I've got a page we can pull up, and there were a couple others we can talk about too.
More layoffs.
But yeah. So the gamer was a big one that we saw. Yeah, quite a few of their editorial staff fired. Let's see. Actually, move down to the story instead of the different points here. Laid off its entire features team alongside several other editorial staff. Of course, these layoffs were expected, according to staff who spoke with VGC, but the scale of the job cuts surprised those still employed at the gamer. In a separate report, 1,200 games journalists have departed the media in the past 2 years, marking a global reduction of 25% in games journalists. Uh, I don't really have a problem with that. Just being honest, most of them were garbage journalists anyway. A lot of them didn't have any business writing about games. They didn't understand the culture. They were there literally for one reason, and that was to push all kinds of different messaging and stuff into games journalism. Alyssa Mercante style. They were there. A lot of them weren't even really gamers. It was just an opportunity for them to be in the business and push a variety of different things onto people. This particular not tweet message from someone on Blue Sky, which of course has to include the watermelon flag. The gamer is losing so much talent today. It breaks my heart on a personal and professional level. I cannot put the loss into words. Everyone being laid off today is incredible and would be an asset to your team. They have jumped through more hoops than you can imagine. Hire them. Well, not a lot of gaming journalism out there that's hiring. In fact, a lot of them are cutting. That's why we've seen so many jobs from places like The Gamer and other media outlets like IGN, Fandom, Dexerto, all of these different journalistic groups cutting a whole bunch of people from their video game journalism staff because, well, what are they going to report on? It's not like we've got good video games coming out for them to really spend their time talking about. Not a bulk of them anyway. And also there's just a bunch of other things, including AI and stuff that are affecting, the journalism. And so, yeah, why would we need all of these people? Why would we need all of these journalists working in these areas? 25%, 1 in 4. I think that probably makes sense for a lot of these different places, including The Gamer, including IGN, and so on.
I mean, I'm going to say something controversial. Even these weasels, I don't enjoy seeing people like lose their jobs. At the same time, they kind of brought it upon themselves. So I don't want to celebrate people losing their jobs. That's on one hand, it's not the kind of celebrating I like to do. But at the same time, I can't ignore that they're weasels. So I guess I'm conflicted here.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, as it says in this article here, is that just a couple of years ago, the allure of esports and its audience reach was, drawing in investors, thereby increasing a legitimacy of the video game industry as a source of investment. But now investors are not looking eagerly at gaming as an opportunity like they used to, promoting media outlets to rely primarily on ads and clicks to raise money. Well, yeah. What's happening? Well, there's no good new games to report on. There's a bunch of this where it's just been all kinds of virtue signaling, all kinds of messaging that's being pressed into this, trying to force changes in the video game industry. And a lot of gamers have turned off. They're not listening. They're not reading this material anymore because they don't care. They know what kind of message they're trying to push and they don't want to hear it. So they're turning to other places or they're just ignoring video games journalism altogether because they know that the games that they're pushing are going to be crap. They're sticking to indies, stuff like, Hollow Knight, Silk Song. They're sticking to that instead of, diving in and continuing to listen to these, you know, these people in these gaming journalism websites and blogs and other stuff because they don't have anything new or interesting to say. So, yeah, Stephen Mack says, no one trusts these hacks anymore. We moved on. Exactly. Right. A lot of people have completely moved on from these big journalistic gaming sites because they know exactly what they're going to hear. They know, oh, there's a new game coming out with a main character who's a woman and she's a lesbian and she's ugly and whatever. And what are we going to get? Well, we're going to hear it's the best game that's ever been made, right? Because, well, why wouldn't it be? It's got a ugly lesbian female protagonist in the game. So it must be good. And if you say it's not, you're a bigot. It's the same story every time. So, yeah, people have just given up on gaming journalism. So it doesn't surprise me at all that there's been cutbacks here. And again, there's a lot of these people who are hacks. They never deserve to really be working in the industry in the first place. So
I agree
good
with
luck to
everything you said.
them. Good
I
luck to
just
them
want to
finding
react to
something
one.
else.
I just
Yeah.
want to say one thing. George Lazenby's agent has to be the worst agent in the history of agents. Like out of all the agents that ever existed that gave advice to a client, this
Yeah.
has to be like the stupidest advice that somebody gave to their. Imagine that your client got chosen to be James Bond and they wanted to make a number of more movies with him as James Bond, and you told him, "Nah, you're too good for this. You're too good." That's the dumbest agent. And mind you, George Lazenby wasn't really even like a proper actor. You know what I mean? It was like the equivalent of him winning the lottery that they even wanted him to be in this because he wasn't even a very good actor. The main reason they took him is because the producer saw him and he felt that he kind of looked the part.
Yeah.
So yeah, the worst agent ever is George Lazenby's agent. Go on.
There was
There's
who's
also, what's the thing that they told people that, they can fire themselves? It was some company, that they
Yes,
laid
that was
off.
gonna be the other
Oh,
story
that
that I
one's
was gonna
wonderful. That
share.
one is
Yeah,
wonderful.
yeah.
That they
So
they said that you could
here
fire
I will
yourself. That's brilliant, brilliant. Go on, yeah. That I wanna see.
here we go. Yeah. So this was Massive Entertainment, which is a studio under Ubisoft, right? So we know that Ubisoft has been in bad shape for a while now. And Massive is one of their studios. Believe it was the studio responsible for Star Wars Outlaws, right? So they have been told here's the letter. As part of our ongoing evolution and long-term planning, we have recently realigned our teams and resources to strengthen our roadmap, ensuring our continued focus on the Division franchise and the technologies, including Snowdrop and Ubisoft Connect, that power our games. To support this transition responsibly, we introduced a voluntary career transition program, giving eligible team members the opportunity to take their next career step on their own terms, supported by a comprehensive package that includes financial and career assistance.
This is just the
It's
weirdest way
oh,
I've ever
oh,
seen.
it is.
Admit it,
This
you're just
is
firing people. You're firing them. Screw you.
it
Just
is
say you're firing them.
it is corporate speak to the nth degree. Talking about, oh, strategic realignments and evolutions and transitions and all this stuff. Here is what they are saying. We have an incentive program for employees to quit now before we lay them off. That is what they are saying. We are offering an incentive for people to go away instead of us laying them off here in another, 30 or 40 days. It's it's absolutely hilarious. And yeah, I mean, it could have been seen from a mile away, right?
I
The
like
the
what
game
Fandomunk said. This is right out of Mike Judge's Silicon Valley. Yes, this
it
is
is. Well,
completely
yeah,
this feels like a joke.
no question. It absolutely is. And the truth is that a lot of these employees that were at this studio, a lot of those that were there working on Outlaws, from the reporting that we have gotten, ever since Outlaws came out and they've been dealing with all this other stuff happening in the studio, a lot of these people are utterly incompetent. They were hired because they're activists, not because they're actually capable of writing, designing, programming a game, right? They're there just because they were activists, just because they're this skin color or this identity or whatever. And so, yeah, there's a lot of these people that probably will never be in the industry again. They don't have any real credentials. And so, yeah, here we go. Either we're going to lay you off or you're going to walk out the door willingly. Pick one. So that's absolutely hilarious. Again, sad to know that people are losing their jobs. I don't want to cheer for people losing their jobs. That's not what I'm talking about. But at the same time, it's like, you know what? You could have seen this coming. Your last couple of games were a disaster. A lot of the reporting that's already come out has already told us exactly what's happening in your studio. You're packed full of activists. You're all, a bunch of just spoiled brats. None of us have a lot of sympathy for you in, saying that, "Oh, now we're gonna be, out of the industry, out of the business, losing our jobs," whatever. Yeah, you probably earned it, to be honest.
Yeah, that's what
You
Fandomunk says. They earned it.
yeah,
They
yeah.
earned this. I understand. It's like, even like I said, I think that I started it off pretty well. Even these weasels, I don't celebrate people losing their jobs, even if they are weasels. But at the same time, sometimes you also understand why people lost their job, and I'm not, like you said, I'm not celebrating, but I don't know how it could have been any other outcome based on what they were doing.
Yeah. I mean, it like I said, their games were failures. The company has had to take on a huge business partner now with Tencent coming in and buying up a big chunk of their business so that they could realign and launch different studios, rearrange who was producing what. It's been a real mess for them, and a lot of that was their last couple of games. Star Wars Outlaws was a huge failure in the market. You had the Assassin's Creed game that came out. That was a huge mess. It did okay for them financially, but not great. Not the huge seller that they were hoping for, certainly not enough to make up for all the losses from Star Wars Outlaws. And so, yeah, it just continues to go downhill, and they had to have known, the people who are working there had to have known that this eventually was going to come home to roost and that some of them were going to be losing their jobs. So, hopefully hopefully, they're holding on to the really talented people. The people who do know what's going on, do know how to develop a game, know how to write a story. Hopefully, those people are gonna be sticking around. The ones that are gonna be gone are gonna be those that, were dead weight, frankly. Hopefully, they're gonna be the ones departing. But, I would imagine there are probably some very disgruntled, disenchanted people who are really, really talented who don't want to be at the studio anymore. They don't wanna be part of Ubisoft and their nonsense and are ready to just say, "Yeah, give me my little bonus, whatever. I'm leaving because 'cause I'm gonna go find someone who actually appreciates my skill and my talent and doesn't care about whether or not I'm part of this identity group or that sexuality or whatever." Right? I would imagine that's the case. I'm sure a lot of those people have already left, but there's probably a few that are still around that are saying, "Yeah, give me my extra money and let me head out."
Darren M says, "Never quit. Make them give you a package." Maybe.
Well, that's what they're offering, Darren, is they're offering a special, package for some of these people, basically an incentive package, to leave early. A lot like we see this happens pretty frequently with different businesses where they're looking to incentivize some older employees to retire. I know it happens in academia pretty frequently. They'll say, "Hey, we have a special package, ready for this particular time of the year. If you are, have been considering retirement, if you take it now, we've got this package for you that we're going to give you sort of an extra little bonus to get you out of the door, and that's gonna, help kind of motivate some people towards retirement that otherwise might have stuck around for another year or two."
Skyfall, the theme is good. Uh, I don't know if you're saying you like the movie Skyfall more than Casino Royale, because I think Casino Royale demolishes Skyfall. Casino Royale is like the only Daniel Craig movie that's genuinely good. It was only
Yeah.
downhill after that, but that first movie was pretty good.
Yeah, I'm looking at the conversation. I think they're just talking about the theme song.
Oh, theme song?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. Casino Royale has Chris Cornell singing, a wonderful song, underrated. One of the best James Bond songs ever is Chris Cornell singing the Casino Royale song. I will say that, Adele's Skyfall is more traditional James Bond. Perhaps the Chris Cornell one was kind of not the traditional choice. I Maybe Skyfall is the better fit for like the James Bond vibe, but if you ask me personally which song I would rather listen to, Chris Cornell. Chris Cornell, fantastic, fantastic in that song. It's more my thing. It's more like badass. Chris Cornell's like badass in that one. Adele does the kind of, whatever it is expected of her. Honestly, Skyfall is like very, very safe. There's nothing really edgy about it. It is 100% like by the book, but I will say that Adele does it well, so I'll give her that. Unfortunately, and this is not in your conversation, the movie Skyfall, in my opinion, is a disaster. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah. The only one of the Craig Bond movies I saw in the theater was Casino Royale. And honestly, I didn't love it. I saw where they were going. I saw who Craig was going to be as James Bond. I didn't wanna see any of the rest of them in the theater. Just had no interest whatsoever. And, turns out I was right. It was best for me not to see any of them in the theater. I saw Quantum of Solace, and I saw a couple of the others like on HBO or streaming or something later on. Man, Quantum of Solace, that honestly, that could have been a good movie, but it wasn't. It was edited very poorly. The plot did not work very well. It
No, it
just
was
ended up being
terrible.
a
It was
real
terrible, Quantum
mess.
Solace.
Yeah, just ended up being a real mess. And then after that, yeah, I didn't care anymore. Didn't care for Craig in the role, didn't care for where they were going with the stories. So,
Yeah, no, I think the Quantum of Solace was a disaster. I thought the Casino Royale was fine. By the way,
it was
do you know
fine.
why? Do you know why Casino Royale was halfway decent? Do you know why?
Because it
Do
was
you?
still based on one of the original stories from the
No,
actual
but
author.
there's more to it. I don't know. Do you know the
Oh.
story? I must have told you this before.
Oh, I don't think so.
You don't think so? Okay, so I'll tell you quickly because it's one of those late night conversations that we talk about weird crap. So we'll do that right now. Let me share this thing. So, uh, basically, what happened is that one day Quentin Tarantino woke up and had an idea. He wanted to make a James Bond movie, and his idea was that he wanted Casino Royale. He wanted to I don't know if he wanted to set it in the 60s. I don't remember now what his idea was, but the main idea was this. He wanted it to be like, or maybe he didn't want to set it in the 60s. He thought that, like, he wanted to take the story, like, of Casino Royale, adapt it. And in his mind at the time that, like, Pierce Brosnan was still supposed to make another movie, he thought this was a great idea. So he met, he happened, I don't know if he happened to or he did it up by design. He met up with Pierce Brosnan at the Chateau Marmont in Los Angeles. I've been there before, actually. He met with him there, and I guess in the lobby, not in the hotel, restaurant, bar, whatever it is, they started drinking. And Quentin Tarantino gets excited. He tells Pierce Brosnan that he has the best idea for a Bond movie, and he wants to set up a meeting with like Barbara Broccoli and that other whoever the fuck that other guy was.
Yeah. Yeah.
So basically, explains it to Pierce Brosnan. Pierce Brosnan, he sells him on whatever it is. I mean, it's Quentin Tarantino. He's like, I got the idea for the best Bond movie ever. We have to make this movie. Pierce Brosnan is like, sure, like, let's make your movie, man. Let's do whatever you want. They're drinking, I don't know, they're drinking vodka together. He tells them we're going to do James Bond. Pierce is on board. So Pierce sets up either a meeting or I don't know how it all went. If it was a phone call or a meeting or whatever it was, in any case, I thought maybe it was a meeting. In any case, they get together and they have a conversation. Broccoli, this other guy that was her partner, Brosnan and Tarantino, and Tarantino tells them, "I have the most wonderful idea. Let's take Pierce Brosnan. Let's take the screenplay for Casino Royale." And I have this great idea. Like he started telling them all his ideas, like what he wants to do with it and whatever. And they told him, "This is never going to happen." They told Quentin Tarantino, they said, we're not going to make Casino Royale. We don't even own the rights to Casino Royale because apparently that was the one thing they didn't own the rights to. So they said, we don't own the rights to it. We're not going to make this movie. We're not going to do anything you said. Thank you, though, for the meeting and all that. Thank you. Very nice, everything that you said. And not only that, Pierce Brosnan was supposed to be one more movie, and they somehow got rid of him as well. And the next thing you know, they bought the rights to Casino Royale, announced that they're going to do like a movie that's more gritty with a new actor, hire Daniel Craig, and like took like Tarantino and Brosnan out of the picture.
Mm. Yeah.
So
Well, that's Hollywood, baby.
it is Hollywood, but I think that to this day, in a few interviews in later years, Tarantino said that it kind of annoyed him, everything that went down there. Pierce Brosnan was more kind of jolly about it. He's like, oh, I suppose that meeting wasn't as successful as we thought it would be, or I don't know what he said. Tarantino's like, oh, they took my idea. They fucking took it. I was the one that told him. Like, he's all like, he's really like, until now when they ask him about it, he gets annoyed because, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if Tarantino would have been good for Bond or not, But man, I would have liked to have seen what that movie looked like.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, how bad could it have been?
I
You know
don't
what I
think I
mean?
would mind a Tarantino take on a James Bond, especially if his plan was to do like a period piece kind of thing. I think that would work really well. But
I to this day am not even sure
yeah.
100% what his plan, but he claims that
Yeah.
later what they tried to do with Casino Royale was based on his pitch, meaning the kind of showing him a little more greedy. I don't really know what it is that they did, but he felt that they stole something from him. Not like 100% theft, obviously also didn't write Casino Royale, but the fact that he came and explained to them like that this would be the direction moving forward, and they're like, this is the worst thing we've ever heard of, get out of our office. And then they're like, quickly, we have to buy the script. We have to buy the script. It's like, I can understand why he would get annoyed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Will Rachel Zegler ever be a Bond girl in the future?
Weird.
The way things look now, anything is possible. I personally think that, her look isn't a Bond girl type.
She would just be lecturing Bond the whole time.
I mean, I don't even
about
know
how
if
he's a
they could even do
misogynist.
Bond today, but I have met a few Bond girls. I've said this before that I had that incident with Jane Seymour.
Yes.
I did meet her. It's not the only Bond girl I've met, but I'm just going to leave it at that. There was another situation that I met like a Bond girl, but I don't, for several reasons, I don't want to get into that.
Yep. Well, do we have anything else, Price? I had one other thing, funny thing I wanted to mention.
I did have something I remember. You go
Yeah.
on. What was your funny thing?
No, so
wait, who would
we
want to
had
have pie with her? With who?
having pie with Zegler.
Zegler? You want to have pie with Zegler?
Oh.
I mean, listen. It's not like, I don't necessarily think that she's like the worst looking person on earth, Zegler. I'm just saying that, there's at the same time, there's other actresses that I think look better than her. I'm not saying that like it's the worst thing that ever happened, but yeah, I don't know. But she is very annoying, which doesn't help. Like, she's not the most appealing, and also she's annoying. So this is not a good combination, at least in my opinion. To be fair, also she's not in an age group that's really appropriate for me. I don't know. I don't even know how old she is. She looks like she's like 2 years old. Anyhow, go on. That was a strange conversation I was having myself. Go on.
That's all right. If you can share my screen, I've got a video to show.
Eva Green did look nice. Whoever was saying
Yeah.
Eva Green in the chat,
Yeah.
Eva Green was.
Yes. So this was a funny post that I saw earlier. That was about hey, we're gonna have all these games that are gonna be developed by AI, and they're everything's gonna work within the game. The AI is gonna drive them, and so this is actually somebody who's working on some of those prototypes, saying, "Oh, AI games are gonna be amazing." So you tell me if you find this this particular game amazing, Brian.
I mean, at this point, this is obvious. This is actually kind of surreal and weird, But at this point, obviously, this is not good. But if they can iron out some of these kinks, it's not there now, but it could get there one day.
The dumpster just shows up out of nowhere.
I mean, this is like just bonkers, bizarre, and weird, and obviously this is not good. But I still will say that
Rotates.
What does the community note say there?
It just says the community note just says this shit. That's all it says.
They've got a chopper on us. Find some cover now.
What is the community? I have to see the community notes.
Just says lots of shit. That's all it says. I don't know why they bothered with a community note for that, but yeah.
That's actually quite
Absolutely awful. And it's so funny too, because there's sometimes it's like, oh look, the text, it says Uptown. It actually is like
Uptune.
readable text. And then there's other times there says Uptune. And then
Yeah,
they're
no,
like,
that I saw
the
that.
guy takes cover in front of a
I mean, obviously, this thing is a mess. It's an absolute mess, and it's silly and funny and stupid. But I will say that if they can improve whatever this is, and they probably will be within, the next year, 2, 3 years, it'll probably get much better. At the end, you will probably be able to do this thing. It's just you're not there now. That's the way I see it.
Yeah. There's some interesting icons there. I don't know what button that is that helps you go Jalvandonra, or you can press C to Lergav-tisap. I don't know, but anyway,
I did
it's
have
like,
something
yeah,
that
AI games are gonna be so cool. Yeah, wow.
I mean, this guy wrote something stupid to begin with. Like, this isn't the thing that's going to give
Yeah.
you a feeling that they're going to be cool. But I will say that I think a few years from now, it's like Will Smith eating the spaghetti. Initially, it looked really bad.
Absolutely. In fact, somebody made that exact comparison in the comments, saying this is the Will Smith eating spaghetti, version of video games.
I understand. Yeah, here I agree with this person. This is the Will Smith eating spaghetti, but a few years from now, it's not going to be Will Smith eating spaghetti anymore.
Yep.
And
I suppose we'll see.
What I wanted to show you was, what was it called? Wait, there was something that I wanted to show you. So there was this article over the weekend. I didn't even get a chance last time. I forgot to talk about it. There's this thing here. Did you see this article?
I saw the title show up. I did not bother reading this. It's not a left-wing movie, huh? Fascinating.
The thing is that not only did they say it's like not a left-wing movie, like in the middle, they're like, no, this is the weirdest guy. It's like, what are you even trying to do in this article? There's one part where he's like, no, it's just showing you what could happen, like, because Trump is in charge. And I'm like, doesn't that make it a left-wing movie? I've never seen so many like mental gymnastics trying to explain why this movie is not what you think it is. Like, why even bother making this article? This person is so stupid. Let me see if I can find the thing. Trump. Okay. The movie, which is set in an authoritarian America that resembles the one we could be heading towards, it anticipates what the country might start to look like if Trump invokes the Insurrection Act. And that's not left-wing?
No, not at all. That's just realistic.
And then reconfigure, and this is the final thing that really I saw this, and it's like initially in the book that this is based on, I think that it took place like in the 80s or something. So here they it's saying, oh, they reconfigured the book into a dystopian projection of what a Trump regime might look like. I mean, isn't that left wing? Like, if this isn't left wing, what is left wing? And the other thing I'll just say that's annoying from this like weird gaslighting is that this movie had a chance, if it really wanted to tackle this issue, which like is really, I don't feel like going to the theater to see this issue, but if it really wanted to tackle this issue, it could have made a legitimate movie trying to show two sides of a certain situation. Now, if you wanted to show that, maybe you could show, let's say, people here that came, that maybe were good people, and for whatever reasons arrived here, and now they have to leave, but maybe they're like good people and they're not criminals or whatever it is. So at least you want to show their angle. Meanwhile, you also show maybe criminals and what the bad elements look like, and you show some kind of somebody who's conflicted about it. At least it's something that you could say, well, we're trying to show two sides of this story. But that's not what this movie does. This movie ultimately, if you're white, you're a mustache man, based on this movie. And the other thing is that even though they're trying to make it seem like things aren't perfect with Antifa people, the Antifa people are undoubtedly at the end considered the good guys in this story. I don't know how somebody could say that this movie is not left wing. It just, I can't see a situation that it's not. This is a movie that I've said it in my review that I feel like they thought that Kamala Harris would win, and when they made it, they thought that like Trump would be long gone, and this would be their big victory and their big middle finger to everybody.
Yeah.
And at
See,
the
this
end,
is what could have happened if Trump had been elected. It would have
right.
been it
This is
would have
if
been like
Trump
this.
was here again, this is what but we don't have to even worry about him because we'll never see him again. This is what could have been. You see, like rubbing it in everybody's faces. At the end, he's back, and this just looks like very poorly timed. They absolutely thought that Kamala would win. They absolutely thought that was the case. And this movie ended up coming out, and they're just scrambling to tell all these stories. So you have this nonsense article, but then there was another one. First of all, there's another thing. Let me see for a second. I have something. Let me see if I can find this thing. Eric Kane. Are you ready? Are you ready for me to
Yes.
really surprise you?
Blow me away.
No, this is really because I've already picked up on a pattern. Anytime like some condescending mainstream media shill wants to like quickly like spread some kind of propaganda and squash people from saying anything, this is the rhetoric they use. No, One Battle After Another is not a left-wing movie. The no comma, do you see this no comma at the beginning?
Yeah.
That's like the condescending, gaslighting bullshit, sorry, Sean, that you can expect. And the thing is, I've seen it. I remember when I looked at this, I'm like, I've seen this before. Do you want to see where I've seen it?
Show me.
Are you ready? No, Rey
Yeah.
from Star Wars The Force Awakens is not a Mary Sue.
Thanks, Eric. We needed you to tell us this.
This
Even though
is
you're
Eric.
completely wrong because she is absolutely the perfect example of a Mary Sue.
And you'll always notice when there's no comma and then like a statement that's basically the opposite of what's really true, it is the classic gaslighting, condescending bullshit. And this is from this Eric Kane guy that later tried to present himself as like a man of the people. That's why I told people I don't believe this man at all. And when he started saying stuff and pretended that he's like a man of the people, and I answered to his tweet, and I think that I started taking like screenshots of his articles and I posted and replied to him, and I said like, you're not a man of people, and I showed him this. He got really upset and blocked me. I mean, he could have explained to me why he's a man of the people, but when I shared this headline with him, he had nothing more to say.
Oh yeah. Yep. That's how they work. And then they'll unblock you for 30 seconds while they post something awful or send you some awful message, and then they'll block you again. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure that if we go, like, I've seen this format of no, comma, blah, blah, blah. I've seen this many times over the years. I can't remember every one. This was one that like I knew because I remember with this Eric Kane guy that he blocked me. So I remember this whole situation. This is not the first or last time that they've used this rhetoric. It's like, no, I can already hear the tone of the stupid person writing the article. And I do not believe that Eric Kane is a man of the people. And neither is this whoever this weirdo is. It's like, oh, and the other thing, the final thing that I'll show you, and then, I'll leave you alone. There was one other thing that I wanted to show you. So, the another people that came in and started stepping in to try to create a new narrative was the BBC. Let me see if I can share this with you. So much cope from these people. So you have like the BBC, one battle after another. Why this year's most acclaimed film flopped. And I've never seen so much nonsense in one article. Basically, I'll cut to the chase because this is a lot of nonsense that just goes on for hours. But what they're trying to say is that the studio gambled on this, but for them, like, they love having quality movies. So, like, it's okay if they lose $100 million. They're totally fine with it because in the bigger picture, they wanted some quality. So it's okay that they lost a bunch of money. And I'm like, I don't think anybody's sitting in the studio now and like, popping bottles of champagne after this. I don't think that they're all like celebrating this as some big win. I think that they thought that this would make money because it has Leonardo DiCaprio in it, and they thought this would be a bigger movie. It didn't make the money that they wanted. I don't think they're sitting now and thinking it's so great we did it. We wanted to have like they're like saying the BBC, well, they do have a very high quality movie on their hands and like they're working with such a great director, so like that's a big win for them. I don't know that they're thinking that. I don't think that they're sitting around thinking it's so good. Like, this director is wonderful. It's just kind of
No,
like
this
these weird spin articles. Like they're trying to explain why this is such a huge win for everybody. It's not a huge win. They thought that they had Leonardo DiCaprio. They thought that Kamala would win. And they thought that they had like this movie. I don't know what they thought. They thought it was going to make a lot of money and they're going to do all this stuff. At the end, it's going to lose at least $100 million. No matter what bullshit they say. Sorry, Sean. If they're going to lose a billion, it's not a billion, $1 million. No, sorry, $100 million. It's a late hour.
Yeah, 100 million, somewhere
Hundred
around there.
million.
Yeah.
But the 100 million, it's a lot. Jason Webster, yes, I agree. Rachel Zegler's problems are primarily with press engagements and social media. The more experience she gets will iron those problems out. Limiting her social media exposure could help. I think that the problem with her, if I had to give my 2 cents here, is that she is like she is a snooty and spoiled brat. She comes off that way. She liked to go places and make it seem like she's a woman of the people. Like, oh, look, I like, I keep my abuelita. She was this and that. It's all like nonsense. I don't know. Her father is Polish, I think. Her mother is Latina. But from everything that I've gathered, this seems like a girl that, a woman that lived comfortably in a family that had money that could help her build her career, from a young age, like auditioning for all this like Broadway stuff. She'd actually, because of her early feature in Spielberg's movie, which flopped, by the way,
Yep.
I think that the success quickly went to her head. She was already kind of a spoiled brat to begin with, and she became an even bigger spoiled brat. And I think that people can recognize when somebody is very inauthentic and very kind of snooty and condescending and annoying, and she's all of those things. I don't think that
All of them.
necessarily, maybe it's better that she talks to the media less because the more you see her, the more you realize that. But I think that the problem is that she's not she hasn't learned any lessons. Even when I saw interviews and things with her in more recent times, after the whole internet piled up on her, she's like, "Oh, I went to therapy." She said in some like interview, "I went to the therapy and the therapist told me that it's all everybody's fault, but it's not my fault." Or something like that. I'm like, "That's the lesson that you've learned here, that it like everybody else is to blame."
That's what she's learned.
She has to
Everyone
mature,
else
but
is
not
to
only
blame.
that, it has to be like a moment of reckoning. I mean, you'd think that maybe something that she went through would humble her, and maybe she'd like gradually build herself up. Brie Larson, as much as and she was Brie Larson apparently is not an Avengers Doomsday. That was
Nope.
stuff that people was being discussed today. But
Yep.
I will say that Brie Larson, after her kind of going on a similar journey as Rachel Zegler, she was humbled. And these days, when they interview her, she's a lot more kind of low key and humble. She realizes, she understood what it meant that she did that, what the damage was, and you could tell that she's being very careful these days. I don't think she's changed. She's probably still the same annoying person for the most part she was. She comes off as just a little less annoying because you could see in her eyes that she realizes something. Maybe she's still bitter. Maybe it's just because she didn't succeed the way she wanted and her her value has kind of dropped. But I think that Brie Larson recognizes she's made mistakes. Everybody was talking today about the fact that she's not going to be in Avengers Doomsday. I do think that Brie Larson is going to be in Avengers Secret Wars. So if she's not going to be in Doomsday, you could say that seems like a bad sign. Still think she's going to show up in Secret Wars.
It's possible.
It is a sign, though. It is a sign, the fact that she wouldn't be in Doomsday, like how little they think of her compared to her being the face of the entire MCU, which obviously isn't the case anymore.
Yep. Yep. She's
Yeah,
definitely not the face of the MCU.
not the face of the MCU, no. But I will say that Brie Larson is just a little less annoying now than she was a number of years ago. You can
Yeah.
make of that what you will. Something in her eyes tells me that at least she understood something. It's not that I think she's a different person. There's still those same things that would annoy me, but there's a little bit of humbling, a little bit.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think she has been humbled a little bit by some of this, recognizing that, yeah, she was brought in to take that role. Oh, she's gonna be the new center of the MCU, and she wasn't liked.
And a
She
feminist
she
role model for young
yeah,
ladies.
yeah. She was not liked. She was people did not enjoy her performance there, and some people very vocally so did not like her in that role. And then of course when the Marvels arrived, it was a massive flop, the biggest flop the MCU has seen. And so I think that too, at the same time, that was probably um pretty humbling for her to have been there for that.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. But I guess we covered some stuff here. Was there anything else?
No, I think we
And
talked
Bree
about a lot of
has a
stuff
butt.
this
Does
evening.
she have one? I'm not sure.
Is there
For whatever it's worth, I mean, I don't think she's like the most gorgeous lady ever, Brie Larson, but she's not like repelling. Just I think that it's her attitude that kind of was very
Yeah,
repelling.
it's a personality thing. It's not her, attractiveness as a person. I think she's a lovely looking woman.
Price setting things
But
up for when he
yeah.
meets with Brie at a function, so he doesn't get wine thrown at his face. Never met her at a function. Never met Zegler either. Those are two people. Never met him. Let me look at Rumble. We had Birdhouse Blues, Double R Star, Phantom Monk, Reachum 842, Empress and M, and Radio Streamer.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us tonight. Over on YouTube, we had Zunar J5, FKHC 2005, Marla Sharon, I don't know. Marla Sharondoff, Jonathan Conroy, Mary White 2.0, Tomahawk 511, Kelly Hans, Yitis, Caleb Levine, Andrew Wordna, Murrockstro, Jason Webster, Stephen Mack, Pulse Mannequin, Moxie Dame, who came in with a rate. We appreciate that. M. Campia U fan, The Angry Badger, Tarot, Badfoot, Putin's Cat, E. Clay Thomason, The Dead Man, Keely Chow, Darren M, and Nim. So, yeah, I think we got everybody there. We're so glad for everyone to join us this evening. See maybe another couple here. Did we get the awesome one? Did we get awesome one? It might have had one or two names maybe that slipped through. But anyway, we're glad to have everybody join us this evening, hanging out with us, talking about whatever we talk about on our late nights. Thanks to those hanging out in the Rumble chat and those hanging out on YouTube. And if you haven't taken the opportunity yet, make sure that you give us a like. You can subscribe, follow the channel on your service of choice, and we would really appreciate it. Come back, leave a
Tomahawk.
comment afterward.
I just want to understand this comment. Is it No Time to Die was so bad Price doesn't want to talk about respect?
I think that's what he's saying. Yeah.
Yeah, I
It
mean, we
was
just didn't get to talking about No Time to Die. The thing with No Time to Die is it's kind of like what I thought about James Gunn's Superman in one sense. It's a professionally made movie. There's certain scenes there you could tell the cinematography is good. It's set up properly. Whoever directed it is not necessarily a bum. It's just that the screenplay is the problem, and what they do with Bond, especially in that final portion of the movie, is just a disgrace. And I think, and even throughout the movie, it's not that great. But I think that the writing there is the main issue. And yeah, I mean, okay, I know what I'm trying to say, and I'll say that, and then we'll go. Basically, if this movie was called Mr. Secret Agent Man, not 007, it's Mr. Secret Agent Man. His name is John Smith. It's not James Bond, and it's Mr. Agent Man. And I watch that, and that's the movie. I'd say fine, that's Mr. Agent Man, and I wouldn't care one way or another. I'm just like whatever. It's just a movie. It's a competently made, sort of guy. There's a secret agent man and some ladies and whatever that tell him what to do and tell him he's stupid. It's fine. Like, that it is what it is. The thing is, the second you call it James Bond, it has to be a James Bond movie. And that's the problem with it. That's the biggest problem with No Time to Die. Not that it's not an okay movie for some bum doing espionage, but rather that it doesn't feel like a James Bond movie.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't say Mr. Asian Man. I said Mr. Agent Man, Secret Agent Man, not a secret Asian. Uh, who do you think is going to win Mr. Brown's Alliance Hot Ladies competition? I don't know, man. Have no idea. But I want to thank everybody for hanging out with us. It's always a pleasure. We love doing this. We love hanging out with you guys. And Professor, if there's anything you want to plug, now's the chance.
Well, you can join me and the rest of the crew over on B-Roll Stage tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 Central. Join us over there for B-Sides. Be watching a film, doing some live riffing, playing some games, hanging out, doing that tomorrow night. And then the following week, Price is going to be joining us for Halloween, and we're going to be doing the Vincent Price of Reason stream that week.
This is all true, and I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be great.
Yeah.
So I
We're gonna
recommend
hang out and have
everybody
some fun.
pay attention to that.
Yep.
Linda Carter was a good Wonder Woman. She was
Indeed.
a very, very lovely lady.
Lovely woman. Yeah. I've been weirdly, I've been rewatching Buck Rogers, the original series Buck Rogers, and boy, I gotta say, man, there were some gorgeous women in that show, including Erin Gray, but there's some other just absolutely gorgeous. But they did not mind showing off some beautiful women in that show.
Things work differently. Back in the day when you had
Yeah.
like pretty women, you were happy about it, and you weren't trying to hide them and make them look dumpy and stuff.
Not at all.
They're
Not at
all
all.
happy. I said it's Secret Agent Man, not Secret Asian. I don't know what Secret Asian Man would do.
Man.
It's funny though. Better than Gal Gadot.
Yep.
Listen, I'll tell you, Linda Carter was fantastic. I mean, I think that maybe she's like the perfect Wonder Woman. Really liked her. I will say that I like Gal Gadot. I thought I understand people are like, oh, she's not like the Meryl Streep of actresses. Fine, she's not Meryl Streep. Okay, I think that for Wonder Woman, it was perfectly fine. You needed a woman who's athletic and looks nice, and I think that she did that just fine. That's my humble opinion.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
Yep.
Linda Carter was my first screen crush. I had a poster of her on my wall.
Not
I
only
think
was she a gorgeous woman, but she is also seemed, just genuinely kind, wonderful person, which is surprising, honestly, a lot of the time when you get to learn about the actual people behind the on the other side of the screen. She's just like a good person. It's, it's nice.
she's great. Yeah, I don't have anything bad to say about her. She's
Yeah.
she's lovely. And yeah, I guess at this point, Professor, I think we can start wrapping things up.
Yeah. Well, sorry to leave you hanging on Tuesday, but I think everything went well. Glad to be back this evening. Glad to see everybody here in the chat, and
And they were all glad to see
everyone.
you here. And thank you all for hanging
Yeah.
out on the different platforms that we're on, hanging out with us. It's all great. You guys have a great evening, and we'll see you here on Tuesday. Because Tuesdays and Thursdays, as usual, we do the night hour, 11:45 p.m. Eastern, every Tuesday and every Thursday. So
Yep.
that's it, I guess.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Bye.